Does that make me anti-woman?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, and then there were 15.
Yeah, I was received a bunch of emails yesterday saying, watch out for Dan tomorrow, bring Kleenex.
Yeah.
And then I reminded him that your tear ducts were ripped out of you when you were a little child.
I had them removed. That's
Yes.
correct.
Yes.
I, like Hillary Clinton, can only impersonate a human being, and I don't do it particularly well, similarly to Hillary. But here's the thing with Scott Walker.
Yeah. He
and
dropped out, but he had a message.
his sudden exit. Well, I think there's two questions. One is the message, and two is what precipitated the sudden withdrawal. And look, it turns out my analysis of Walker's fall from grace, and it was a incredible fall from front-runner status very quickly.
I mean, how do you go from 13% to yesterday he was at an asterisk?
Well, he was more than that for most of the first half of this year. Up until June, he was leading Iowa. 3 months later, he's out of the race altogether. That is really a frightful fall. And I think it's a couple things. One is mediocre national rollout. Mediocre national rollout where he provided murky positions on issues that became ascendant, perhaps more ascendant than he wished they had become. But issues like immigration, where he was giving middling answers, sometimes apparently basically contradictory answers on immigration, was a problem. So that started to call into question Walker, and combined with the cardinal sin in politics of our age, bad on TV. Smaller on TV than in person. He was small in the debate stages, I felt. He wasn't great on the Sunday talk shows. In an era where you've got the bluster of a Donald Trump and the kind of understated charisma of a Ben Carson, the forcefulness of a Carly Fiorina, Scott Walker was just kind of plain Jane Midwest nice. And that combined with, it didn't have kind of a real telegenic presence. That combined with some of his dithering on issues of increasing import, I think spelled his doom.
I didn't think he was that bad. I trusted him. And I know he flip-flopped on some issues when it came to birthright citizenship and other things that, he stepped in a little bit when he compared, his battle with the public unions to fighting ISIS.
Yeah.
But I thought, all right, he recovered from that well. When he talked about building a wall in Canada, I thought, it's a little odd, but it's an idea.
It's not a good idea.
No, it was not a good idea because that's not where the threat's coming from. There are certain threats, though. What ruined him, I definitely was Donald Trump. I mean, Donald Trump sucked all of the oxygen out of the room and took his base.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Scott Walker's base is Donald Trump's base. I think, Scott Walker, the attractiveness, part of the attractiveness politically to him was, okay, here's a guy that's got street cred with the conservative grassroots, but he also has appeal to kind of the establishment donor base. And so he's the candidate that can basically perhaps best meld those worlds. Well, it turned out he ended up kind of getting neither, and partly was some of these statements where he got out of his comfort zone. The speech he gave at Eureka College just a couple of weeks ago when he was in Illinois, he's going to wreak havoc on Washington. That's not Scott Walker. Scott Walker is not a havoc wreaker, and that kind of rhetoric is un-Scott Walker-like. The suit doesn't fit. Right. So I think perhaps what was happening with Trump, but also with some of the other outsider candidates, is that Walker got a little bit out of his comfort zone, and then it was just even more uncomfortable, beyond just kind of his relative understated presence to begin with. I just think it was a problem. The other thing, too, Scott Walker doesn't have this Horatio Alger story. He doesn't have the from secretary to CEO Carly Fiorina story. He doesn't have the from, kind of a tough family situation in Detroit where he was getting into trouble to, a pediatric neurosurgeon who they made a movie after, like Ben Carson.
He was governor. I mean, he's won 3 elections in the past 4 years.
Governors that's pedestrian.
Really?
I mean,
see, I don't see
his record
way.
is not pedestrian, but being a governor, going from,
But he dropped out of college so that he could support his family and go to work and make money.
Well,
That's admirable to me.
but it's not it's not the same kind of rags to riches story effectively that some of the other candidates have. Donald Trump is kind of an outlier in this conversation, but in terms of the other couple of outsiders, he's not a first-generation immigrant like Rubio or Cruz. So it's just a little bit different. So there was not a compelling personal story. And there's nothing wrong with that, by the way. There's nothing wrong with he was raised in a nice family.
He was born in Iowa.
He's a middle-income guy, right? He doesn't have personal wealth. And that's, I think, part of the one of the reasons, too, is just looking at the potential for mounting campaign debt. And he can't write a check the way Donald Trump or Carly Fiorina or Ben Carson even can write a check to make to write a substantial check to support their campaigns. Walker can't do that. So I think that was part of the calculus as well. But all of that combined, but it just turned out that the Scott Walker and running for governor is a retail exercise in a state of 6 million people like Wisconsin. Running for president is an increasingly national proposition. Even though it's a state-by-state race, you need national presence, you need national buy-in because you need a national donor base. And that, I think, ultimately is what helped to undo Walker's candidacy.
And please correct me if I'm wrong. Weren't you in charge of a super PAC for Scott Walker?
No.
Or involved?
No.
Okay.
I absolutely had no affiliation with the Walker campaign.
Okay.
No.
But you did
other than
support
being
him.
a supporter. Yeah.
Right.
And the good
So
news
did
is
you
he's still
see
an outstanding governor, and he goes back to Wisconsin to continue turning that state around. So and providing a model for Illinois. So that's the good news.
Yeah,
but,
and people in Wisconsin, last time I was there a few weeks ago, I mean, they said they're not supporting Scott Walker anymore because they're being selfish and they want him to stay as their governor.
Well, Mark Hemingway tweeted yesterday from Weekly Standard, Labor Secretary Scott Walker has a nice ring to it.
Oh.
I like that idea,
Yeah.
too. Labor Secretary Scott Walker would be a nice way to close the circle if we get a Republican-elected president. But
Well, how many years left does he have in his gubernatorial term?
Well, he just got elected in 14,
Well, which
so
time?
he's up in 18.
All right, so he has some time.
The other thing, too, speaking of his responsibilities as governor, he had the re-election in 14. Then he had the budget contretemps with Democrats leading into this summer. So that also, he had to spend some time doing his job, too, which derails time from being a candidate. But when Scott Walker left the race, as he did yesterday, he had this to say. He had a message for the rest of the field, the remaining 15, as it were.
As a kid, I was drawn to Ronald Reagan because he was a Republican and a conservative. But most of all, I admired him because of his eternal optimism in the American people. That thought came into my head when we were all standing on the stage at the Reagan Library last Wednesday. Ronald Reagan was good for America because he was an optimist. Sadly, the debate taking place in the Republican Party today is not focused on that optimistic view of America. Instead, it has drifted into personal attacks. In the end, I believe that the voters want to be for something and not against someone. Today, I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field. With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same so that the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
To the current frontrunner, that's the money line.
He didn't say the T word.
No,
Trump.
but so the question is, will anyone follow Walker's lead and his clarion call to consolidate the primary election and make sure that, for example, Donald Trump is not the nominee?
312-642-5600. I'm all choked up over here.
Turnkey.pro, answer line, Turnkey.pro, text line 64636DA. We'll take your calls and reviews on the other side.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
312-642-5600 is the number. And coming up next, who's Dan going to support now that Walker's out? Maybe we'll have an answer. But first, here's your forecast. Today, it's just going to be gorgeous. Plenty of sunshine, no rain in the forecast for the next 5 days, actually. With today, a high of 77, and tonight, mainly clear, a low in the 50s. Let's get the travel times. Any troubles on the roadway? Here's Jim Telemonte.
Things are pretty clear right now. Good morning, Amy. Good morning, Dan. In Elgin, there is a crash. McLean at Main. The intersection is open. No delays to report on the Edens, the Kennedy, the Eisenhower, the Stevenson. In about Ryan, starting to get a little heavy approaching downtown. There is road work outbound in the express lanes. Past Garfield and Marquette, 2 left lanes are closed till 6 this morning. There's work on the southbound Tri-State at North Avenue in the 2 right lanes. There's work on westbound 390, Roosevelt to Mitchell in the left lane, but no delays to report. Jim Telemonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Every night, you believe you rest easy, knowing that if something bad happens, you have insurance coverage. You've shopped around for the lowest price, secured coverage, and backburnered thinking about it ever since. But that might be a mistake. At Myers Glaros Group, they know you've worked hard for what you have, and that's why they work so hard to protect what you've built. When you purchase insurance from a single agent, chances are that that person may not be familiar with all the lines of coverage you need. The Myers Glaros Group is a team of combined specialists in each insurance category to ensure your policy coverage is accurate. Insurance is a big picture concept, and all of your important policies need to be interconnected and strong. Myers Glaros Group can keep you from unforeseen financial setbacks because you didn't understand the coverage. Insurance tailored to you and your business. From Myers Glaros Group. Your risk, your needs, their focus. Call 219-865-6447. That's 219-865-6447 or online at myersglaros.com.
People who can afford a LASIK procedure sure are lucky. Imagine being able to throw away your contacts and glasses. Imagine waking up tomorrow with 20/20 vision. Too bad everyone can't afford LASIK. Well, guess what? There's a company that agrees with you. TLC Laser Eye Centers is now offering great prices on high-quality LASIK to make it affordable for everyone. That means you get the latest FDA-approved all-laser LASIK technology for less than what others charge. And if you call right now, we'll schedule a free consultation so you can discover if LASIK is right for you. Individual results may vary. Call 1-800-600-7926. Even better, if you're one of the first 100 callers, ask about an extra 10% off your all-laser LASIK procedure. We've already performed over 2 million procedures. Let us help you. Discover how you can get the quality LASIK experience you deserve for less than what others charge. For your free consultation, call 1-800-600-7926. 1-800-600-7926.
Matt McCann is a nationally known expert on long-term care planning and endorsed by the American Association for Long-Term Care Insurance. Affordable long-term care insurance is a smart way to plan for the physical, emotional, and financial burdens long-term health care can have on a family and loved ones.
Learn more about long-term health care planning and get your free quotes from all the top companies.
Order your special report now and learn how easy it is to plan. Go to RadioLTC.com or call toll-free 866-751-7957. 866-751-7957. That's 866-751-7957. Discover your options today and get free quotes. RadioLTC.com. RadioLTC.com. That's RadioLTC.com. McCann Insurance Services. Long-term care, critical care, and asset protection planning. RadioLTC.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Are you okay?
Dan and Amy.
You seem a little. Are you disappointed? Or I mean,
Well, yeah, I'm disappointed. Of course, I wanted him to do better than he did, like not being the second candidate out of the race. Who would have predicted that 6 months ago?
so you didn't
Not
see
too
it
many
coming
people.
yesterday. You didn't get any heads up or anything that he was going to be dropping out of the race.
I knew there was some difficult discussions going on internally, but I thought it was more of a reorganizational nature, focusing on their strategy to get back to Iowa and move the ground game in Iowa to try and recapture some momentum there. So I know I didn't anticipate that he would drop out at this juncture, but apparently that debate was kind of his last stand, his Waterloo, as it were. Not to pull an Al Michaels. I always love watching and listening to Al Michaels call football games because he always nicely weaves in what the line is, particularly at the end of the game. So this from Betfair, primary guide, in terms of the percentage chance that various Republicans will win the nomination according to, the gambling community, which tends to be more accurate than the polling community. Jeb Bush, 34% chance to win the nomination, by far the highest plurality. Marco Rubio second, 18%. Trump at 11%. Fiorina at 8% at this juncture. Just kind of interesting because the question is who should drop out. That's the question that essentially Walker put to the field to consolidate. Matt Iglesias and Vox.com, who is a liberal, so take that for what it's worth, but he argues Jeb Bush should drop out for the good of the Republican Party. Of course, he's not going to do that because he's in a fairly strong position, even if it doesn't appear that he's a particularly strong candidate. He's winning the invisible primary. He's suggesting Jeb Bush should make way for Marco Rubio. Oh. And there is this is starting to bubble a little bit. Marco Rubio, the best talker in the field, young, Latino, Florida, has put together some substantial resources. There is Marco Rubio out there, and remember, Rubio's the candidate that Jeb's camp fears the most.
Right, and isn't I think Hillary's camp fears him as well too. But isn't Marco Rubio going to be the beneficiary of Scott Walker dropping out, or will it be Ted Cruz?
I think it'll be distributed. I don't. Obviously, with what Walker was polling, it's not a huge amount of vote at this point. But there are a lot of conservatives who respect Walker, and so if he decided to fall in with a candidate that would have currency, with me. Depending on who that candidate is, Are
you candidate shopping now?
Yeah, I'm looking. I think I like Ted Cruz. I like Fiorina, but I'm doing my homework on her, and we're going to talk about her because now that she's under enhanced scrutiny, there's some questions to be asked. So yeah, that's kind of where
you're shopping.
Yeah,
right.
I've
been there.
I'm probably leaning Cruz at this point because I trust him the most. Let's go to Steve in Lockport. You're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, good morning, Dan, Amy.
Good morning.
I got a question for you. With George Will's wife basically running the Walker campaign, and as much clout as that Will family has, with the Washington, D.C. inside, do you think that she ends up getting behind, and with her getting behind, so does George Will, getting behind Rubio? Which leads back to what you were saying a minute ago. Do they fall? Does that support go to an establishment candidate?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Steve. I think it's just like I said. I think it's distributed. Some of Walker's backers, they're probably not going to go to Trump. Some may go to Rubio. Some may go to Jeb. Some may go to Cruz. Probably less so. If I had to guess, Rubio, Jeb, and Kasich. There'd be some distribution in terms of Scott Walker's backers. But George Will's wife was an advisor. She wasn't running the campaign. Actually, a guy named Rick Wiley was Scott Walker's campaign manager. Ron on the South Side.
Hey, good morning, Dan. It's still going to be a beautiful day today, and that's all right about Scott Walker.
Thanks.
But look here.
Ron, thanks for that pep talk. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Dan, keep telling you, you're behind my guy. Most experienced. Another man, Latino, who can talk the best. Right now, look, this is a big game. You go with the most experience and the person that can win in the general. Scott Kasich. Remember, I told you that. You all have a wonderful day.
Thanks for the call, Ron.
Do you want to tell him or should I? His name is John. And it's Carly Fiorina. A lot of people are like, that Fiorina guy lady.
Scott Fiorina.
Scott Fiorina.
Greg in Schaumburg.
Hey, Amy and Dan, just real quickly, one thing that you didn't mention on Rubio that's very significant is this new media campaign he came out where he's tossing footballs back and forth. It's superb. My main point, however, is this. Is that as these incredibly good candidates drop out, and the next one they're going to go after is Cruz, it's the media that's deciding this, and it's Reince Priebus and his inability to dictate to the networks, which should have been the format. This format is terrible.
All right. Thanks for the call, Greg.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
I was coming out of the hardware store when I saw him. An old man, late 70s, hunched over in the freezing rain, no hat on his head, limping across that slippery parking lot, and pushing a row of shopping carts toward the cart corral. It's heartbreaking. Millions of hardworking Americans simply don't have enough money to retire, so they just keep working and working and working until it's too late. Hi, I'm Chad Stubbs, President and CEO of PowerTrader, and I believe that's just plain wrong. That's why I'm now distributing to the public absolutely free copies of PowerTrader's game-changing book on how regular folks can make the money they need to retire fast. For your free copy, call 1-800-400-0360. Don't let the lack of money rob you of your retirement. Call now for details and get your free copy of this book before it's too late. 1-800-400-0360. But hurry while supplies last. 1-800-400-0360. 1-800-400-0360.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Looked like he was in a closet when he dropped out of the race there, huh?
He was in the same closet where Hillary Server is.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Ben Carson, he's sticking to his gun, so to speak, and Donald Trump wants his poll numbers profiled properly. Bill O'Reilly, Savannah Guthrie.
And Carly Fiorina sings about a Snickers. We'll have it. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. 58 degrees, mostly clear skies, and it was Scott Walker throwing in the towel yesterday.
I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field.
And he's urging some of his former GOP presidential rivals to consider doing the same. Walker saying the race has moved away from conservative issues into personal attacks. Donald Trump reacting to the Walker decision.
Well, I feel badly for him. He's a nice guy. I got to know him a little bit during, as we say, the trail, going out on the trail, and I think he's a terrific guy and a nice guy, and I think it's been tough for him. He started off high, and his poll numbers went.
Senator Ted Cruz apparently all jokes with Stephen Colbert.
Were you surprised how crowded the field got?
There are another dozen coming.
Really? All right.
Now, in fact, Stephen, are you going to announce tonight?
You know what? I actually ran.
GOP presidential candidate appearing on The Late Show. A leading economic agency says the record number of migrant arrivals in Europe are an emergency situation, and there's little hope it will ease soon. The Valley Fire, now officially one of the worst in California history. It's killed 3, burns 76,000 acres, and roughly costs the state of California $250 million. Pope Francis coming to the U.S. today. The president and vice president and their wives will greet the Pope when he arrives. A new poll shows that while Americans think Pope Francis can be influential in some world affairs, they do not believe he'll have much of an impact at all on lawmakers and on the United States when he addresses Congress.
They're not expecting him to do any legislative miracles when he comes to Washington, D.C. and addresses Congress. They really don't think that the Pope's going to have any impact on several of the hot legislative debates that are going on Capitol Hill right now.
Kate Ackley is with Roll Call. After watching for years as their city's financial troubles piled up, Chicago homeowners will now be told to get out their shovels and bail out the mayor's office and pay the tab. Mayor Rahm Emanuel's office says he'll propose a phased-in $543 million property tax today to help eliminate police and fire pension debt. Emanuel also wants a new monthly fee for garbage hauling and taxes on taxi rides, ride-sharing services, and e-cigarettes. White Sox took a pair from Detroit 2-0 and 3-2. Cubs over Milwaukee 9-5. Indiana over the Sky 100-89, bouncing Chicago out of the WNBA playoffs. And the Jets were Monday Night Football winners over the Colts. The news service of the American Association for Cancer Research. The American Association for Cancer Research, the world's first and largest organization dedicated to finding cures through research. Support cancer research today by donating at aacrfoundation.org. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You saw him moderate the CNN presidential debate.
Hugh Hewitt, nice man.
Now you can see him live at Freedom Summit Chicago 2015. Hugh Hewitt is coming to Freedom Summit.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt.
Hugh Hewitt.
And he joins an already packed lineup that includes Ann Coulter and AM 560's Sean Hannity. Freedom Summit Chicago on November 14th in Itasca with Hugh Hewitt, Sean Hannity, and Ann Coulter. Get your tickets today at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Hey, if your company manufactures or markets pharmaceuticals, biologics, medical devices, or APIs, you know the challenges of systems integration, FDA compliance, and staffing. To gain access to Chicagoland's top life sciences engineering, quality assurance, project management, regulatory, software, and validation professionals, you need the experts at Automated Systems, Inc. All of ASI's resources are degreed professionals with decades of industry experience in manufacturing, automation, and FDA compliance. ASI is retained by all of Chicagoland's Fortune 500 life science companies to successful startups. For over a quarter of a century, ASI has excelled through a culture of execution and client success. For information about staffing or a no-obligation compliance or automation evaluation, call Laz at Automated Systems toll-free at 844-HIRE-ASI or visit AutomatedSYS.com. That's 844-HIRE-ASI.
536 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound ride now has a 2 or 3 minute delay from 18th Street into the Burns Circle downtown. Bishop Ford Freeway, you've got a 3-minute delay from 111th to the Rhine. Inbound Stevenson getting a little heavy past Cicero. The other expressways and tollways are delay-free right now. Tonight you'll have Cubs traffic on the north side and Blackhawks traffic on the west side with the preseason opener tonight. Traffic is a service of City of Chicago's Blue Cart Recycling Program. Got overflowing junk mail, magazines, and newspaper? Throw your clean paper items into the Blue Recycling Cart. Visit chicagorecycles.org to learn more. Remember, recycling, it's not trash. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and beautiful today. We'll top out at 77 and 57 for an overnight low, and another 77 and sunny day ahead tomorrow. 55 at O'Hare. Next news at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy. All right, so Carly Fiorina is getting a lot of scrutiny now. I need to move on to Carly Fiorina off Scott Walker.
You got to clean your palate?
Well,
Or
I mean,
just-
I look at, as an Illinois Republican, I'm used to losing, so it's not like I've never dealt
Yeah,
with defeat
but
before.
There's still a period of grieving where you
Yes.
just have to get over it. I remember when Mitt Romney lost, I was just crushed and had to watch all those Obama people celebrating in McCormick Place. And that night that he won re-election, they didn't cheer and clap until it came out on Fox News that he had won.
Yes.
Nobody believed it until that happened. But so there's a grieving period. But
I go through the Kubler-Ross stages very quickly, so I'm just about over it. But you mentioned Mitt Romney. A piece in the Daily Beast. Carly Fiorina is
Yeah.
the new Mitt Romney.
Oh, really?
Carly Fiorina has a Mitt Romney problem. One Beast writer opines. Like the wealthy former CEO from an affluent Republican family, she entered the Republican presidential contest, assuming that her record running a large company would be one of her great assets. It may turn out to be one of her great liabilities. She's about to get baned, as in Bain Capital. And it started a little bit in the last debate when she had that back and forth with Donald Trump about her record at HP. You'll recall that, of course.
Oh, yes.
the name mentioned by Donald Trump, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, he referred to him as the head of the Yale Business School. He's not that, but he is an associate dean there and a professor. Well, Jeffrey Sonnenfeld wrote a piece in Politico saying that, well, I'll just read the headline and you can intuit why I still think Carly Fiorina was a terrible CEO. He goes through her record, and now she's presented one version of her record. She does have, former HP board member Tom Perkins, who's a bit eccentric, to say the least.
Yeah, but he's come out and support her.
He was part of the board effort to remove her, and they effectively did remove her, fired her. But now he's saying that was a mistake, and it was a dysfunctional board. Now, Tom Perkins also has suggested other interesting ideas like the rich should have more votes than the non-rich. But that's an aside. The bottom line is he's still saying, in terms of his professional judgment, that it was a mistake to fire Fiorina. She's suggested that her tenure at HP is being mischaracterized. Donald Trump talking about the layoffs. Here's something that Jeffrey Sonnenfeld writes in Politico. Here are the facts. In the 5 years that Fiorina was at HP, the company lost over half its value. It's true that many tech companies had trouble during this period of the internet bubble collapse, some falling in value as much as 27%. But HP under Fiorina fell 55%. During those years, stocks in companies like Apple and Dell rose, Google went public, and Facebook was launched. The S&P 500 yardstick on major U.S. firms showed only a 7% drop. Plenty good was happening in U.S. industry and technology at the time. And then he goes through some of the strategic decisions she made, the decision to purchase Compaq, which was a disaster, the efforts to compete with IBM in terms of growing IT services, which didn't work out particularly well. He goes through it, and he has some takeaways in terms of looking at her as the potential leader of the free world.
But is this all of her fault? I mean, I know you mentioned that's when the bubble burst. And other companies are going through the same thing, but does he suggest how she could have done something differently there? Because HP is still suffering. I mean, even last week they laid off 25,000 people, just coincidentally on the same day as the second GOP debate.
Yeah, well, for example, the $25 billion purchase of Compaq, which was a disaster.
Yeah, that was her. She signed off on that.
And Sonnenfeld writes, at the time, most industry analysts, HP shareholders, and HP employees, and even some HP board members resisted the Compaq deal. Fiorina prevailed in a proxy battle with 51.4% of the vote. Rather than listen to concerns of her opponents, she ridiculed them, equating dissent with disloyalty. He has takeaways for her. She refuses to learn from failure. This is just one man's opinion, but he isn't, somebody who is at Yale Business School. He does have some expertise in this area. She changes the goalposts, like she talked about doubling revenues at HP. Well, that's a misleading statistic. It's about shareholder value. That's a fair point. She makes irresponsible decisions. He mentioned a couple. And she is intolerant of dissent and resorts to personal attacks, including against Mr. Sonnenfeld, who she referred to as a Clintonista. And he suggests that he is nothing of the sort. In fact, has consulted with some Republican presidential candidates as recently as the last 2 weeks. So that's one view on her, a couple of views on her. Now, another view comes from Mark Thiessen in the Washington Post this morning. Why the pro-life Fiorina's ascent should terrify Democrats. Because essentially, he argues, she completely undermines the war on women rhetoric of Hillary Clinton specifically and the Democrats and the left generally. I think that is a good point. Not only the impassioned argument she made at the debate, talking about Iran and Planned Parenthood in the same breath, which was interesting coupling, but also she's a breast cancer survivor. So don't talk to me about women's health, right? She has been through a lot, and she knows of what she speaks. She gave the poignant story about losing a child to drug addiction. So it's a complicated picture for Fiorina that I don't think has come into focus yet, but she is certainly going to suffer the Romney-esque attacks per her tenure at HP. That's for sure.
Well, last night she was on Jimmy Fallon, and she was quick to jump on Trump and compare him to Vladimir Putin.
Donald Trump has recently said that Vladimir Putin is saying he wants to meet with Trump when he comes here.
Well, the two of them have a lot in common, actually.
Yeah, and she said they both are essentially dictators. And but they asked her too. Well, and he asked her, if, questions about Ben Carson saying, can a Muslim become president? And here's her answer.
Well, I think that's wrong. It says in our Constitution that religion cannot be a test for office. It is also true that this country was founded on the principle that we judge each individual and that anyone of any faith is welcome here.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Ben Carson this morning is saying that it's radical Islamists shouldn't be president.
He's basically saying if they denounce Sharia law,
Right.
then it's a different story. Here's the thing, though, and Fiorina talked past the issue. Nobody is suggesting that anything other of the sort, that it's any kind of constitutional issue. It is clear that there is no religious test enshrined in the Constitution, nor should there be to be president of the United States or any office holder for that matter.
Article 6.
Religious freedom is the bedrock of a free society and of this free society. There's no question. The question is a normative question, not a constitutional one, and she knows that. So there's a little bit of pandering.
A little bit of piling on. But I loved her story. I mean, I can hear it again and again how she started as a secretary and then eventually made her way up to CEO.
Well, I earned my way onto the big stage. Happy to do it. When I started this race, nobody knew who I was, honestly.
Yeah.
Most people, 90+% of the American people had never heard my name, didn't know I was running for president. So I had to work really hard to introduce myself. That happy hour debate gave me the first opportunity.
Hey, you did
and
great.
obviously last week gave me the second opportunity. And
Sure.
When people get to know me, they tend to support me. That's what you see in the polls.
Yeah. Now, can you see yourself supporting Carly Fiorina? And does she have a chance against Hillary Clinton?
So she has a chance. I mean, any of these candidates have a chance against Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is a mortally wounded, existentially inhuman candidate. So any of these Republican candidates should not only have a chance, they should win if they run an effective campaign. Fiorina strikes me as a very disciplined person. I described her before as she was the kid in school that had her file folders color-coded in her Trapper Keeper. I mean, she is uber prepared. And I think that was on display at that debate. So, she's worthy of further examination. I don't know enough about her yet. I'm still doing my homework. Some of these reviews that I just mentioned now and a bunch of other stuff I'm reading about her should be instructive, and we'll see how she continues to perform. But she certainly earned the respect of a serious candidate for president of the United States. I don't think it's a capacity issue. I think it's a question, some of the questions that Sonnenfeld raised in his Politico piece. It's do we exactly know what kind of leader, have a good idea, you never truly know, but have a pretty good idea of what kind of leader she will be? And are there lessons that she learned from HP that inform how she would be president of the United States? I'd like to hear her address that.
Well, on a lighter note, Jimmy Fallon was trying to get to know her and bring her personality out. So he talked about how she has two dogs, Snickers and Max. And apparently she sings to her dogs because they're lazy and she wants to get them out of bed. And would you care to hear it, Dan?
I sure would.
All right, ready? Hit it. It's in the key of G.
You want me to hum a bar too?
Yeah, we always have microphones ready to go. Again, you don't have to do any of this.
Well, let's see. This is a song in 4 verses. I'll only give you one, all right? All right, you ready?
Well, I'll give you this.
Okay, we ready?
Yeah.
Wait, maybe we can clap along.
Are you sure?
All right, ready?
My name's Snick, and I'm lazy. Please don't take a walk with me. I'd rather stay right here at home instead. I want to lie back down in my nice warm bed. My name's Snick, and you're gonna have to carry me.
Oh, you're gonna have to carry Snick.
I think Mitt Romney
That's
put his
pretty
dog on
cute.
the roof of his car, and she doesn't do that to her dogs.
But she does sample music like Kanye West. Sit on it, Potsy.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine in your forecast for the next 5 days. It's just going to be gorgeous. A high of 77 degrees. And then tomorrow, again, a high of 77 under mostly sunny skies. Let's see what the travel times are like and see if that accident in Elgin has cleared up. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Good morning, Amy. Telgon and Elgin all clear at McLean and Maine. Inbound Eisenhower not so clear between Manheim and First. We're now seeing a 2 or 3 minute delay. The Edens and the Kennedy are fine. Inbound Stevenson, it's a 5-minute delay. Harlem to Kedzie. And the ramp to the inbound Ryan is heavy. Inbound Ryan, it's a 5-minute delay from Stevenson to downtown Bishop Ford. A 3 or 4 minute delay starting at 111th Street. Tri-State Tollway northbound heavy at 290. Southbound, there's road work from North Avenue to the Reagan Tollway in the 2 right lanes, but No significant delay to report southbound. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
For a long time, Turnkey IT has been providing solutions to AM 560 business owners. It's a name that you have come to know and trust. These guys do it all from on-site service calls and help desk to all-in networks. They have a plan that fits your company's technology needs. Want to move your business to the cloud? Turnkey can migrate your network to Microsoft Office 365. Having someone to call when you misplace a file or accidentally open that email with a virus important? Well, then Turnkey's got you covered. Time for all new equipment? With Turnkey's all-in plan, your business will have brand new equipment and the highest level of support you can find. Do you want professional and timely support from your IT company? Of course you do. And Turnkey is prompt and responsive to support requests, shows up on time, and provides service even after normal business hours. Turnkey IT knows your network is truly the heartbeat of your company, so focus on your business and leave the technical stuff to the pros. Visit turnkey.pro today for a plan that fits your needs. That's turnkey.pro.
Are you ready to take your education to the next level? Arizona State University now offers over 90 top-tier degree programs, 100% online. With ASU's highly ranked online programs, you'll earn the same degree as our on-campus students, with the ability to learn wherever you want, whenever you want. Same world-renowned faculty, same leading education, same global recognition from one of the top universities in the world. Call 1-800-400-9257. That's 1-800-400-9257.
I'm Jamie from Sherman Oaks, and I just graduated with my degree from Arizona State University. I chose ASU because I received the quality education I deserve in the major I wanted, all from my home.
Jamie's not the only one to earn a degree from ASU. There are over 90 degree programs offered 100% online from one of the top universities. Now's the time to learn more about earning your degree online from Arizona State University. Call 1-800-400-9257. That's 1-800-400-9257.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of Newbiotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-655-8385.
I used to be plagued by potbelly and constant bloating. After taking Newbiotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. Newbiotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of Newbiotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-655-8385. That's 1-800-655-8385. 1-800-655-8385.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so, does Trump have nothing but time on his hands? That guy is on Twitter more than Iowa Hawk.
Well, do you think the tweets are his own?
Yes. If not, there's somebody who has a great ghostwriter for him on Twitter. Tweeting yesterday, O'Reilly Factor was very negative to me in refusing to post the great polls that came out today, including NBC. Fox News, not good for me. O'Reilly, why don't you have some knowledgeable talking heads on your show for a change instead of the same old Trump haters? Boring. I'm having a hard time watching watching Fox News, Trump News. That'll be next. Rich Lowry. Wait, what did he say about Rich Lowry from National Review? Is truly one of the dumbest of the talking heads. He doesn't have a clue. So that was Trump on Twitter going after O'Reilly.
That's what he has to do, though. He has to go after people to make news, Dan.
Because our leaders are stupid.
Yes,
Yeah.
well.
Got that?
Not just the talk show host, too, apparently. And then he was on with Savannah Guthrie arguing about the poll that she profiled prior to his appearance versus the poll that they should have profiled that showed him in better standing than the poll they profiled.
Didn't he drop 8 points?
Well, that's according to a CNN poll. He dropped a little bit, but an NBC poll had him up more, and the NBC poll should have been the one profiled because he was on NBC and he doesn't understand. I mean, the idiosyncratic emphasis on day-to-day polling, and you hear Trump supporters say, well, let's get to the issues. This guy doesn't want to talk about everything other than the issues. Listen to this.
Well, a man was asking a question, and I decided, why should I come to the defense of the president? He's not going to come to my defense, and I think most people agreed with. As far as the polls are concerned, the only poll you didn't put up was the NBC poll, where I'm way at the top. I'm much more than double, and I don't understand why NBC is using a CNN poll, which was also a good poll. I'm leading by a lot. But the NBC poll that you announced yesterday was fantastic, and you didn't talk about that.
No, I meant to. Well, I tried to.
No, I'm just saying this.
Yeah.
Why aren't you talking about your own poll? Why are you showing a CNN poll, which is very good, but not as good as the one you put up yesterday?
Well, I should have mentioned our NBC poll by name, but I did say at the outset that you were leading in every poll, and I meant.
But you put up the CNN poll, you didn't put up the NBC poll, and you're the ones that are paying for the NBC poll, so I don't get it. Other than the NBC poll is a very good poll for Trump.
It's a good poll for Trump. By the way, the CNN poll's a good one for you, too, sir. You're
That's
leading
true.
in it by double digits.
But NBC was better.
All right, fair enough.
I mean, why does he talk about himself in the third person? I can't stand when people do that.
Yeah, it's difficult because there's some aspects of that I like. I like Trump and anybody, frankly, going after the self-referential media. I do like it. I just wish he would go after them on something substantive rather than arguing about snapshots in time.
The polls have been through the roof, every one of them.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A career isn't supposed to be mundane. It's supposed to be motivating, satisfying, and rewarding. If you're looking for an opportunity to work with the support, reliability, and resources you need to be successful, then it's time to join RE/MAX Professionals. Ed Lukasik Jr. isn't just an ordinary award-winning real estate broker. It's his marketing strategy that makes him the country's 88th best seller, according to the Wall Street Journal. He goes beyond traditional thinking to make sure his agents and his results are second to none. You too can now be an agent with a broker that lead shares, a broker that provides state-of-the-art technology and has business waiting for you from the very first day, a broker that trains you hands-on with techniques that you need to keep achieving success. If you're not picking your jaw up off the floor yet, then at least pick up the phone. Call 630-679-5454 and see what it's like to be an agent with Ed Lukasik's family at RE/MAX Professionals. That's 630-679-5454.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, the inventor of MyPillow, and like all of you out there, I had problems sleeping. Pillows would go flat, I would flip-flop all night long, I would wake up with a sore neck, maybe a headache, or feel like I needed a nap even though I slept 8 hours. When I invented MyPillow, I wanted it to where you can move the patented fill to give you the exact support you need as an individual, regardless of sleep position. MyPillow will get you into that deep REM sleep faster, and you will stay there longer. It's not about how much time we spend in bed, it's about how much of that quality sleep we get. I do all of my own manufacturing right here in the United States. I have a 10-year warranty. You can wash and dry my pillow, and I give you a 60-day money-back guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. And here's my best offer ever. You can buy one of my pillows and get one absolutely free.
To get your 2 MyPillows for the price of one, call 800-489-0201 and please use the promo code Amy. Or you can go to mypillow.com and use the promo code Amy. That's 800-489-0201 or online at mypillow.com. Either way, don't forget the promo code AMY.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
Well, I had back pain for the last 40 years. 4 days after I started taking this stuff, it's gone.
This summer was the first summer that I have not had to have a steroid shot to help me to breathe.
It's fantastic. My husband is loving the product. I'm so happy that I ordered it.
Yeah, I haven't got sick in a year, first time in my life.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
I'm Steve Sidkowski, a former Wall Street insider. I'm holding a book that will show you investing strategies which could help you earn the kind of money you've always dreamed about. And right now, I'm giving this book away for free. So who needs to read it? If you're in the middle of your career and worry you'll never have enough money to retire, you need to read this book. If you're already retired and your income isn't enough, you need to read this book. And if you don't want to be selling burgers at 80, you need to read this free book. It includes the strategy I use to make a 72% profit on a trade where the stock only moved 12%. you'll need at least $1 million to ever fully retire. If you're behind on that goal, you really need to read Trade Like the Pros. And you can for free by calling 1-800-550-9335. Skeptical that it will deliver results? It's a free book, so what do you have to lose? Find out how at 1-800-550-9335. 1-800-550-9335.
Here are the stories we're following right now. Mayor Emanuel set to unveil a proposed budget with a massive property tax hike. WIND Chicago News Time is 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. He'll celebrate one more Mass in Cuba at the country's most revered shrine. Then Pope Francis will come to America. First stop, Washington, where Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland is live.
There's a welcome Pope Francis signed up at St. Matthew's Cathedral, where he'll hold a midday prayer service tomorrow. The Pope will land at Andrews Air Force Base this afternoon. He'll be greeted by the President and First Lady. Catholics and non-Catholics alike are excited about the Pope's visit.
I think everybody will have a wonderful time, and hopefully the spirit will be renewed in everyone.
I think it's great he's coming.
The Pope will meet with President Obama tomorrow, and Thursday he'll joint meeting of Congress. Security is extremely tight. The Pope's visit is designated a national special security event, usually reserved for inaugurals and State of the Union addresses. Dave?
And Rachel, after Washington, he'll go to New York City and then Philadelphia for the weekend. A walker is no longer a runner. Wisconsin's governor drops out of the 2016 race.
I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same.
And Scott Walker says the field should be smaller.
Who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
A not-so-veiled shot at Donald Trump.
I think it's been tough for him. He started off high, and his poll numbers went.
Senate Republicans will try today to approve a House-passed bill to prohibit most abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy, but Democrats have enough votes to block it.
Republican leaders are hoping to avoid an abortion debate that's tied to a must-pass spending bill, as conservatives eye how to defund abortion provider Planned Parenthood.
That's Fox News Radio's Jared Halpern. Kim Davis could end up back in court. The Kentucky County Clerk jailed for 5 days for blocking gay marriages. Lawyers for 2 gay and 2 straight couples want a federal judge to order licenses her office finally did give them reissued because wording on those licenses says pursuant to federal court order, and Davis's name and Rowan County are not on them. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
58 degrees, 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. Mayor Emanuel's bad news budget being unveiled today. And how hard will it hit homeowners? We get the details from AM 560's David Stewart.
Mayor Emanuel's got no help from Springfield so far in easing the impact of the $534 million property tax hike for city pensions, so the administration will now phase it in over 4 years, with the biggest boost, $318 million this year, and lesser amounts in each of the next 3 years. On top of that, the mayor's pushing for a new property tax, $45 million worth for school construction. Also in the budget, a $9.50 a month fee for residential collection of garbage, higher fees for cab or ride-sharing trips, higher taxi rates, and a new tax on e-cigarette cartridges and liquids. David Stewart, Chicago.
3 weeks after an Illinois police officer was shot to death, investigators reveal very little about their investigation. Authorities say they're still waiting more lab testing in the death of Lieutenant Joseph Glinowitz. Meantime, Northern Illinois authorities say they've received results of gun residue and ballistic testing tied to the death of the Fox Lake police officer. Lake County Sheriff's Office spokesman Christopher Caffelli says the results right now do not support or exclude any theory. Strike over at Rock Valley College. School officials there announcing late last night the union has voted to accept a new 5-year agreement ending a 4-day work stoppage. However, teachers, union reps, and board negotiators continue working throughout the night to try and end a 5-day walkout in Prospect Heights. District 23, no school today. Another negotiating session is scheduled for tonight. Chicago Teachers Union firing back following a warning from CPS CEO Forrest Claypool that the district could be facing a large number of layoffs later this fall. Union Vice President Jesse Sharkey saying every student will experience some chaos and teachers could walk off the job if those massive cuts happen. And his opposition to President Obama's Iran agreement has cost former North Suburban Congressman Brad Schneider a key endorsement as he tries to regain that seat. Former U.S. Senator Adlai Stevenson III is switching his backing to Highland Park Mayor Nancy Rottering in the Democratic primary. Schneider and Rottering are vying for a chance to face off against Republican incumbent Bob Dole, who won that seat back from Schneider in 2014. Sox take a pair from Detroit, 2-0 and 3-2, while the Cubs hammer Milwaukee 9-5. Their magic number is 4. Elena Delle Donne had 40, but the Indiana Fever knocked the sky out of the WNBA playoffs with a 102-89 win. The news, a service of the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Someone you know is suffering. They're dealing with excruciating pain and days when they won't be able to get out of bed from Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. You can help. Support Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America, ccfa.org. 6:05 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
The FICO score is not really even a good indication that you pay your debts back.
Dave Ramsey.
What it's an indication of is, do you love debt? And are you planning on staying in debt continually, forever? If you're running around trying to build your FICO score and you call that winning with money, you're stupid. Was I unclear? I hope not. Because you're not winning with money. That's the point.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show, tonight at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
How do you stay connected to your business when your work has you traveling from Miami on Monday to Tacoma on Tuesday? You call Regis at 1-800-OFFICES. Regis offers drop-in business lounges, meeting rooms, and office space in more than 3,000 locations worldwide, allowing you to work from anywhere at any time, all on your terms. Call Regis today at 1-800-OFFICES and get a free office or meeting room for a day. Regis, here to help you grow.
Are you ready to take your diabetes management to the next level? Put the Contour Next meter to the test and challenge your meter. The Contour Next meter makes testing easy and highly accurate with close to lab level results. And J.D. Power ranked Bayer's portfolio of meters highest in customer satisfaction with blood glucose meters. So take the challenge. Go to ContourNextChallenge.com, get a free meter, and enter to win free test strips. Find Contour Next at your local Good Neighbor pharmacy.
6:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The latest on your morning commute. Here's our Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Good morning. Northbound Tri-State Tollway at Cicero Avenue. There's some debris in the left center lane. Actually, not debris. It is an evergreen tree sitting there. On Lake Zurich, southbound 12 at Deer Path, there's a crash. And the intersection is open. Kennedy inbound, a little heavy now between O'Hare and Central Avenue. 22 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 21. The Edens is delay-free. Inbound Eisenhower, still Mannheim to Harlem. 33 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 32. Stevenson has delays starting around Lamont Road. It's 41 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 36. Ryan, 20 minutes, 95th to downtown. Bishop Ford, 21 minutes, 8094 to the Ryan. Traffic is a service of Think It Up. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Here's meteorologist Jeremy Pearson.
Mostly sunny and beautiful throughout today. High 77, mainly clear skies tonight, low 57. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high 77. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasantly warm, high 76. I'm Jeremy Pearson, AM 560, The Answer.
Currently, we are at 55 at O'Hare, 62 along Chicago's Great Lakefront. Your next news is at 6:30, and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Crease Hockey Radio with Kenny McCudden. Heard Sunday evenings at 11 and brought to you by Garden Fresh Market.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same.
He peaked early, and it's not just a process event. When he peaked early, he was way out ahead from that one great speech he made in Iowa. He then played safe.
While so-called establishment candidates like Walker have watched their poll numbers slide, outsiders like Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and now Carly Fiorina continue to surge ahead, but also putting them under sharper scrutiny.
I wouldn't advocate for, I hate to say this, I wouldn't advocate for Hillary Clinton to be president. Does that make me anti-woman?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
I cherish women.
Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. Why would Ben Carson hate to say that he wouldn't advocate for Hillary Clinton to be president? Why should he? Why should anyone? Hillary Clinton in the news yesterday with respect to the story about Obama, a Muslim, being rehashed because of the event, the incident at the Trump town hall. Interesting. Remember, Al Gore gave us Willie Horton. This is forgotten. George Herbert Walker Bush was excoriated for using the Willie Horton weekend furlough that Dukakis gave him, went and murdered 2 people. That was, the Republicans race baiting. Well, it was actually, Willie Horton was actually discovered and used by Al Gore in the primary in 1988 before George Herbert Walker Bush ever faced off against Dukakis. Well, similarly, that Obama is a Muslim, that nasty Obama is a Muslim rumor, conspiracy theory. It turns out that comes from Camp Hillary.
Oh, really?
2008. Oh, boy, I tell you, that laugh is just infectious, isn't it?
It's your biggest nightmare, right? Well, he did partake in Muslim studies because you had to in Indonesia when you were in elementary school. That was part of your curriculum, was Muslim studies. So every year that he spent in Indonesia at the schools there, an hour of his day was spent doing that.
Well, do we have the Dana Bash cut?
No, I don't.
Dana Bash on CNN yesterday, making this very point. We'll effort that. In addition to this, I mean, from the "you can't make this stuff up," the "how tone deaf are these people?" Robot to be featured speaker at Clinton Foundation event.
From Lost in Space, is that Robbie the robot?
No, you can insert your own Hillary Clinton joke there, because there was also a robot spotted wandering around New Hampshire. I'll get to that in a second. But Pepper.
Pepper, the robot?
Pepper, a social humanoid robot from Japan, being billed as the first humanoid robot in the world capable of recognizing universal emotions, which puts him one up on Hillary. The Clinton Foundation is having an event that will feature Bill Gates, Ted Danson, Lawrence Summers from Harvard, and Pepper.
Okay. What does Pepper look like?
I don't know.
Because it sounds very naughty. Hi, I'm Pepper. I'm your robot.
Okay.
I'm going to Google image Pepper right now.
So we'll go from one robot to the other in a second, but I want to get to this Dana Bash clip. The whole Hillary camp trying to spread the Obama's a Muslim story back in 2008 when she was running against him.
CNN chief political correspondent Dana Bash is here. And Dana, Donald Trump reminds us that some of these Obama is a Muslim rumors started by people who were supporting or working for Hillary Clinton in 2008.
That's right. Well, the Clinton campaign back then always adamantly denied that that was true. But there were some stories citing Clinton researchers or associates back then saying that President Obama, or then Barack Obama, Muslim, even that he went to a madrasa, which is a Muslim school, when he was a kid living in Indonesia. In fact, I remember when CNN's John Voss went to Jakarta to investigate that, and it turns out the school never had any religious curriculum. But I should add, just answering that, Jake, even Hillary Clinton herself sowed some doubt back in 2008 during a 60 Minutes interview, saying she didn't think Obama was a Muslim then, but she added, not that I know of. Now, being a Muslim and not believing one should be in the White House are very different, and that is today's controversy on the trail.
Well, it's part of today's controversy on the trail. Dana Bash, who, let me tell you, is nothing close to part of the so-called vast right-wing conspiracy. She is a liberal. So the reporting about Hillary Clinton and the reminding us what Hillary Clinton said when she was asked the question about President Obama's faith and faith background, not that I know of, the typical Clinton-esque parsing of words. So when the left wants to get all haughty and high and mighty about conspiracy theories about President Obama, about people not taking President Obama at his word with respect to his identification as a Christian, and I take him at his word, by the way, then remind yourself
you Hillary Clinton supporters, about what the candidate you're supporting actually did back in 2008, how she fomented this nonsense. She fomented this nonsense, not the right. That's how,
but that's how
craven
politics
and
works.
despicable.
You
No,
dig
it's
up
not. No,
dirt, but you dig up dirt on your competition.
No, it's not how politics works. It's how politics works if you're an amoral, craven, despicable human being like Hillary Clinton. But if I'm running against somebody, I don't have to pretend that their faith is something other than they say it is. That's not part of politics. It doesn't have to be. You can choose to get into the gutter, like where Hillary Clinton finds herself very comfortable. You can choose to do that. You don't have to do that.
All right, then is Hillary Camp also responsible for leaking those Jeremiah Wright videos? Where like, God damn America.
Yeah.
And look at this man who married who married Barack and Michelle. This man who baptized their 2 children, and he's preaching hate from the pulpit instead of preaching forgiveness and acceptance.
Yeah,
I'm sure they leaked those too, though.
Well, I mean, it came out in the primary, of course, and it shows you, frankly, they have better op research than the Illinois Republicans do, because we didn't find that when he was running for U.S. Senate, of course. But yes, now the Jeremiah Wright thing is legitimate. You're a parishioner or a congregant at a church that has somebody spewing that kind of hatred, and you're sitting there nodding along. That's a legitimate issue. I don't blame them. I don't blame them from raising the Jeremiah Wright back in the day. But in terms of these conspiracy theories, these pernicious statements about President Obama's faith that the right gets tagged with by the self-righteous left not so self-righteous. Speaking of this robot named Hillary.
You mean Pepper or Hillary?
No, I'm talking about Pepper's the one that is capable.
Pepper. Yes.
Pepper's the one capable of recognizing universal emotions. I'm talking about the other Clinton Foundation robot. She is in New Hampshire over the weekend, campaigning. She's at a Boys and Girls Club in Laconia, New Hampshire. And a woman gets up and addresses her, telling a tearful story about her son's struggle with a mental disorder. She said, this woman addressing Hillary Clinton, because we couldn't get good mental health care for him, he finally took his life. This is from the Boston Globe, reporting. Again, not part of the vast right-wing conspiracy. I hate to break it to you, Clintonistas. Some of the audience of 300 packed into a Boys and Girls Club in this lakeside town appeared moved by the story, but not, at least that one could tell, the woman who organized the forum, which was intended to focus on the scourge of drug addiction. Hillary Clinton physically backed up closer to a wall as she listened and nodded. When the woman finished her story, Hillary turned away and began asking another panelist to respond. Then she stopped herself. I'm very sorry, said Clinton, who followed with a bland observation. We're not doing enough on mental health treatment. But the real empathy, Grandmama. No real show of compassion, no hug or even touch on the hand. It was one of the starker examples of Clinton's failure to connect with voters during her current campaign swing and others before it, so reports the Boston Globe. There you go. There's your Hillary. By the way, speaking of another Clinton Foundation robot, quickly, Huma Abedin, Mrs. Carlos Danger?
Yes.
More emails uncovered thanks to the Shadow Attorney General Judicial Watch and their FOIAs. More emails of Uma's recovered that indicate that she used her private account for sensitive conversations about where she and Secretary of State at the time, Clinton, were traveling, where they were staying, even conversations of a national security matter. Now, not necessarily anything illegal here, but certainly not judicious. Tom Fitton, who we've had on the show before, the president of Judicial Watch, said that the emails Judicial Watch forced out show that she used her Clinton email account to conduct the most sensitive government business, endangering not only her safety, but the safety of Hillary Clinton and countless others. Why would Ms. Abedin and Mrs. Clinton use this unsecure system to discuss foreign affairs and sensitive matters, including the Syria conflict? Well, that's one of the questions Hillary, the robot, will answer when she appears before Congress next month.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine today. Beautiful. A high of 77 degrees. Then tomorrow a repeat, and it's actually going to be beautiful this entire week and into the weekend. No rain in the forecast. Just sunshine. Let's see if there's sunshine out on the roadways. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. The Edens is still clear, both directions. No delays to report. And on Kennedy, a little slow. The River Road toll to Sayre, 22 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, up on 21. Inbound Eisenhower, delays are between Mannheim and Harlem. 36 minutes. Thorndale to the post office, up on 33. Stevenson, 41 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both with 5 or 6 minute delays approaching the Ryan. The eastbound Adams Tollway now, a little sluggish, approaching the Kennedy. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Summer is here, and your business can't afford mechanical issues with its HVAC system. You also don't want just anyone doing the job. When you want the best trained and skilled team, you want Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading full-service mechanical HVAC and refrigeration provider. Each year, Air Comfort invests in ongoing staff training to keep up with changes in technology and products. Why is training so important? Because Air Comfort understands that doing the job the right way the first time is just the beginning of a long-term relationship with its clients. That's why Air Comfort is a proud supporter of the UA Standard of Excellence and is certified as a star contractor by MSCA. With more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby to serve your HVAC needs. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has earned the trust of thousands of customers with businesses just like yours. To find out more, call 708-345-1900 or visit them online at aircomfort.com.
Today on fleaspray.com, you will learn why new Nomo Flea and Tick Spray is totally safe for dogs, cats, puppies, kittens, kids, babies crawling on the carpet, and even you. New Nomo Flea and Tick Spray kills fleas and ticks with no poison. So as of today, you can stop using poison powders, poison collars, or poison foggers. Thanks, Mom. Thanks, Dad. New Nomo Flea is made from vegetable oil. Nomo Flea dissolves the hard shell of a flea or tick on contact, so the moist insides of that flea or tick just dry up. Nomo Flea instantly. No more ticks soon thereafter. Best of all, no more poison, ever. Before your beloved pet ventures out in the backyard again, order a 30 or 60-day supply of new Nomo Flea. Do it today at fleaspray.com, fleaspray.com. FLEASPRAY.com.
Missing teeth can cause embarrassing gaps in your smile. They can even cause problems with chewing or talking. You probably feel self-conscious, and maybe you've been considering dental implants for a while, but you have concerns. Don't let fear stand in your way to gaining your beautiful smile back. Dr. Joel Akrush and his caring team at Artistic Dentistry understands that most people don't like to go to the dentist. For the last 23 years, Dr. Akrush has helped ease the concerns of more than 11,000 satisfied patients. He focuses on creating custom dental implants that look just like your natural teeth. The entire procedure is completed at one location with one doctor. Artistic Dentistry uses a state-of-the-art CBCT scan, which allows Dr. Akrush to customize your smile with precision planning, allowing for immediate use and quick healing. Get the smile you've always wanted. Call Artistic Dentistry now at 708-301-6060 or log on to donewithdentures.com. That's donewithdentures.com. Artistic Dentistry, serving the South and Southwest suburbs for more than 23 years.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Amy, so it's kind of an interesting development. Could it be that NFL football players will derail the Black Lives Matter movement? We had Richard Sherman, of course, the all-pro cornerback for the Seahawks.
Love his hairdo.
Yeah.
Looks like Milli Vanilli.
But Rob and Fab. You don't even have to choose.
I don't.
Richard Sherman kind of took out after Black Lives Matter, kind of sort of, at a post-game press conference last week. He had this to say, and now he's being backed up by a defensive back from the Detroit Lions. Let's hear from Sherman first.
CNN chief political correspondent Dana Bash is here.
That's not Richard Sherman.
No way.
But here is Richard Sherman.
I don't think it's any time's a time to call out for an all-out war against police or, any race of people. I thought that was an ignorant statement. But as a black man, I do understand that Black Lives Matter. I stand for that. I believe in that wholeheartedly. But I also think that there's a way to go about things and there's a way to do things. And I think the issue at hand needs to be addressed internally and before we move on, because from personal experience, you have living in the hood, living in the inner city, you deal with things, you deal with people dying, dealt with a best friend getting killed, and it was two 35-year-old black men, and wasn't no police officer involved, wasn't anybody else involved, and I didn't hear anybody shouting Black Lives Matter then. And I think that's the point we need to get to, is that we need to deal with our own internal issues before we move forward and start pointing fingers and start attacking other people. We need to solidify ourselves as a people and deal with our issues, because I think as long as we have black on black crime and black, one black man killing another, if Black Lives Matter, then they should matter all the time.
Black Lives Matter, they should matter all the time. I mean, we focus on NFL players or professional athletes when they're in trouble or doing something stupid. Give them their props when they're saying something intelligent. Richard Sherman certainly did. Yeah. And now he's being backed up by Don Carey, who's a 5-year D-back for the Detroit Lions.
He's not on my fantasy team, so I'm not familiar.
Right. Yeah, you draft defenses, not specific
Right.
defensive players.
Which I'm getting rid of mine today, by the way.
He Bears defense.
Bills worse, okay?
So Don Carey, writing in the Detroit Free Press, said that he quote, I'm quoting from his op-ed, "I was quickly turned off by this movement, the Black Lives Matter movement, due to the narrow mindset and irony that exists at its roots. Let me explain my meaning. According to a study by the New York Department of Health and Mental Hygiene, more African-American babies were aborted in New York than were born there in 2012. Needless to say, this number is severely repulsive. Severely repulsive. Yet we've heard nothing from those within the camp of Black Lives Matter on the subject. It seems that we have a Matthew 7 dilemma. That is, we are so focused on the speck in the eyes of others that we are ignoring the plank within our own. We are so focused on the injustices done by a few wayward police officers that we ignore blatant disregard for life within our own culture." How about that? How about Richard Sherman and Don Carey?
I like it. No, and I wanted to hear more from Richard Sherman about his friends that have been killed on black crime. And, I wish somebody would interview him and sit down with him and do a 30 on 30 on that.
And I wish these athletes that stand up and say difficult things, perhaps, in their circumstances, got the coverage on ESPN and, frankly, in larger culture that the bad actors get, that we like to obsess about, spending all the time we spend on Deflategate when we should be elevating the discourse that Don Carey and Richard Sherman are offering.
Well, I'm the best corner in the game. When you try with a sorry receiver like Crabtree, that's the result you're going to get. Don't you ever talk about me.
Who was talking about you?
Crabtree, don't you open your mouth about the best. Or I'm going to shut it for you real quick. LOB.
All right, and Joe, back over to you.
I think he needs some anger management courses, Andy.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, if you need to sell your home in Chicagoland, Sean Hannity here with some very important facts that you need to know. 40% of homes hitting the market in Chicago are not selling. Now, those are horrible odds. That's exactly why you need to call Saul Z and the Z team at Keller Williams, based right here in Chicagoland. Saul sells a home on average every 24 hours and attracts hundreds of buyers every month locally, nationally, and internationally. Recently, the Wall Street Journal ranked Saul's team in the top 110 teams out of 1.2 million agents in the U.S. Saul Z guarantees to sell your home in 29 days at a price and deadline that you agreed to, or he will buy your home or he'll sell it for free. Plus, working with Saul is also risk-free. After 24 hours, if he's not doing his job, you can walk away free and clear. Don't worry, you won't. Just call the agent I would call if I needed to sell my home and lived in Chicagoland. Call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666. Or go online at callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net.
I wish this bag under my eye would just go away. Well, if that sounds like you every day, you are not alone. Bags and puffiness under the eyes are a stubborn problem for millions of American men. That's right, you men out there, and women until now. Introducing the new Genucell serum with plant stem cell technology from Chamonix. It's okay, men, to use this product, and it does help with the bags and puffiness. I use it under my eyes, around my cheekbones, and I've noticed instant results. And with its Instant Effects, which is a separate product, you will see results in the first 12 hours or your money back. So call now and save big, men, on Genucel's risk-free introductory offer. Call this number, 800-525-8323. That's 800-525-8323. Call now and you'll get the amazing Esotique face cream as a special gift simply by placing your order. That number again, 800-525-8323. 800-525-8323.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, we have some exciting news. For the first time ever on American soil, 2 European basketball teams are going to be facing off against each other right here in Chicago. The Maccabi Tel Aviv holds 51 Israeli championship titles and 6 European titles. And did you know Olympia Milano holds 26 Italian championship titles? Now, where else could you get a chance to experience something like this? Come show your support for either Israel or Italy on October 1st when they play against each other at the United Center. Visit Ticketmaster.com or win tickets right now by being caller number what?
3, like a 3-pointer.
Yeah, caller number 3, 312-642-5600. See Israel take on Italy October 1st at the United Center. Caller number 3 wins a pair of tickets, 312-642-5600. Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Will legislators turn off the Springfield spigot if Tiny Dancer and his troupe pass a suburban commuter tax? We'll ask State Rep Dave McSweeney at 6:36.
And the new image of the new Muppet Show, which airs tonight. We'll explain. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say hello again to Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Outside, we have clear skies and 58 degrees. It is the Pope's last day in Cuba. Francis will wrap up the pilgrimage with a mass at that country's most revered shrine and then head to one of the most revered shrines in this country this afternoon. Joe Daniels says the Pope will be greeted by 9/11 families and first responders on Friday as well.
They represent New York City, the Pentagon, Flight 93. So it made sense to have those 9/11 family members who have spent years and years making this place the inspirational reality that it's become.
People directly connected to the terror attacks entered a lottery for the chance to stand at the reflecting pool when the Pope enters that memorial site. Carly Fiorina on top of the latest Republican candidates ranking by USA Today, part of its GOP Power Rankings project. The newspaper's been surveying 30 experts each week since the beginning of this month. Former Hewlett-Packard CEO is the smart money top choice, up from number 3 last week, and Fiorina says she's nothing but proud of where she is in her campaign right now.
I earned my way onto the big stage. Happy to do it. You know, when I started this race, nobody knew who I was, honestly.
Yeah.
Most people, 90+% of the American people had never heard my name, didn't know I was running for president.
Appearing on the Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon Monday night. Meantime, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is out of the race for the Republican presidential nomination.
Sadly, the debate taking place in the Republican Party today is not focused on that optimistic view of America. Instead, it has drifted into personal attacks.
Walker's poll numbers tumbled after the Republican debate last week. A former Georgia peanut executive will spend 3 decades in prison for his role in a deadly salmonella outbreak. Former Peanut Corporation of America owner Stuart Parnell has been sentenced to 28 years in prison after knowingly shipping peanut products tainted with salmonella to customers. After watching for years as their city's financial troubles piled up, Chicago homeowners will be offered a shovel and told to dig out the city. Time to start paying the tabs, says Mayor Rahm Emanuel. His office will propose a phased-in $543 million property tax to help eliminate police and fire pension debt. Emanuel also wants new monthly fees on garbage hauling, taxes on taxi rides and ride-sharing services, and on e-cigarettes. And workers at the upscale Chicago department store Barney's have begun efforts to unionize because salaries and a requirement that employees promote the store's credit card is under threat of disciplinary action. Worker United spokesman Carlos Gianard says 70% of Barney's 75 Chicago sales associates have signed cards indicating they wish to unionize. White Sox took a pair from Detroit, 2-0 and 3-2. Cubs over Milwaukee 9-5. Sky forced out of the WNBA playoffs with a loss to Indiana 102-89. The news, a service of Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council. And a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher exposes another double standard.
Any way you slice it, there is a real lack of accountability here with the Black Lives Matter movement. There are people who should be held accountable for the deaths of police officers. If somebody as heinous as a cop killer was an activist with the Tea Party movement, you think that might get some attention from the news media?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
At Galaxy, they'll help make the house you have into the home you love. Right now, get kitchen or bath cabinets, 2 for the price of 1. Contact Galaxy 773-783-8300 or galaxyhome.com.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
I was on thyroid medicine for 5 years. I have completely got off of it, and all my blood work came back excellent.
It does a lot of good for me because I feel it works. The reason why I'm taking it because I've got Hep C. Once I began taking your stuff, it took a few months, but believe it or not, my liver enzymes are way down, and it's normal now.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
636 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. We get the latest from our Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Inbound Eden's delays start around Dempster. It's 24 minutes from Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 30 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 25. Inbound Eisenhower, 43 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 38. The Stevenson is 45 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 39. Bryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, Bishop Ford, both 21 minutes. I-80 to the merge. Northbound Tri-State slows Cicero to 87th from the Stevenson to the Hinsdale Way. This is from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Adams Tollway stop and go Barrington to Roselle and Elmhurst Road of Kennedy. Reagan Tollway very slow, 31 to 59. Traffic is a service of Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council. Your garbage can be more than just garbage. Give it another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Public service message, Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solution provider. Sunny and beautiful today, high 77. 54 at O'Hare. Next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Midwest Performance Cars. Expert maintenance and repair on European autos. The dealer alternative. MidwestPerformanceCars.com.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson, good morning. So Tiny Dancer and the Troop, his city council has proposed a commuter tax, or they're planning to. This is Ed Burke's brainchild, and by brainchild I mean some other cosmopolitan city is doing it, so that's when Ed Burke adopts a terrible public policy, for example, that New York wants to pursue, or London does pursue, and tries to make it Chicago's very own. I dug up this little nugget from an article in New City in 1986, 30 years ago. Listen to this. This is from an observation from Bertrand Goldberg, who is the architect of River City and Marina City.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And that was
And it went a little bit like that.
That was his theme music back in the 80s.
It was concise.
He told the reader that Chicago must become a city of 5 million people by the year 2000 in order to broaden its tax base to support city programs. Citing how current statistics show the ratio in Chicago, this is 1986, citing how current stats show the ratio in Chicago of taxpayers to indigents is 1-to-1, he suggested that the only way to generate required funds for the city is to attract taxpayers and naturally offer them practical places to live. Wow. Well, we are not trending toward 5 million. We're trending to be fourth behind Houston in the country's most populous cities. And Bertrand Goldberg was prescient in what he predicted if we didn't get to a city of 5 million with a tax base to support the big government programs. And we certainly don't have that. So what to do with the potential of a commuter tax? We now put that question to State Representative David McSweeney, Republican from Barrington. Representative McSweeney, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
So what's your reaction to Tiny Dancer's proposal?
Another revenue grab by the mayor, and it's going to drive more people out of the city. As you said, we need more taxpayers in Chicago. We need more taxpayers in the state. This will drive people out of Chicago. It'll hurt the state. It is a terrible idea, and it will actually impede economic growth in the city of Chicago.
Well, do you have any idea how they're going to receive this $10 a day commuter tax?
Well, no details yet, except in London, as Dan cited, that seems to be the model. They actually have an option to monitor license plates, to use scanning devices. It's just a terrible idea all the way around. It really will just drive jobs out of the state. It's a terrible idea. We should be encouraging people to come to Chicago, and as you said, we need more taxpayers in the state. This will be an absolute disaster.
Well, could potentially be a bit of a boon to the suburbs, perhaps. I know there's some corporate relocations to Chicago that are touted by Rahm, but there's also we were talking about this yesterday a bit. Look, the reverse commute out of the city to the suburbs, especially out your way, Northwest Cook County, out west along the 88 corridor. The reverse commute is worse than the commute in because there's so many corporate campuses that are located in the suburbs. Maybe this would incentivize more businesses to locate out in the burbs and more people to locate out in the burbs as well.
It could, but it's just going to make things worse in Chicago. There already is a crisis with below investment-grade bond ratings, people leaving the city, crime in the city. It's an absolute disaster. It's a bad idea, and it would further lead to the decline of the state of Illinois. And we have enough problems in the state, as you know.
What can the General Assembly potentially do to derail this? I mean, obviously, Chicago and Rahm come to state government routinely with their tin cup asking for money for this and money for that. Is there a way to suggest, well, look, if you're going to essentially try and penalize my residents for coming into the city to spend money at Navy Pier or where they work and in and around where they work, then we're not going to be so hep on some of the requests that you have?
It's a very reasonable way to look at it, and they want a long list of pension relief. They want special deals for Chicago schools, but if they're going to raise taxes even further on suburban residents, we shouldn't even consider those if this proposal is absolutely implemented and passed. It's a terrible idea.
As a state lawmaker, how frustrating it is for you that your constituents have to pay for the sins of politicians, in particular politicians from Chicago.
You know, it continues the list of the Chicago problems, and higher taxes and more spending are always the answer in Chicago. So it's very frustrating. And as you always talk about, both of you on the radio show, we need fundamental reform in this state. And raising taxes, increasing spending, that's not the answer.
Well, speaking of fundamental reforms, what is the status of the budget impasse and any prospects that a deal may be arrived at in the near term?
Well, the problem, Dan, as you know, is we're running a $6 billion deficit. It's increasing every single day. We need a budget. I'm supportive of the governor's reforms. He needs to show that he has a roll call and get the votes, and we need to move on because you've talked for many years very eloquently about the developmentally disabled in this state. They're the ones that are going to be hurt. Others are going to be hurt. And guess what? We're still making automatic payments for legislative pay, $7 billion for a broken pension system. We need a permanent budget, and I see no prospect in the short run unless the rank-and-file members rise. And the biggest secret in town, and one that you know all about, is there is talk about a massive tax increase. That is the wrong answer to our problems. Just like raising taxes in Chicago is the wrong answer, raising Illinois taxes, raising the income tax rate, that is the absolute wrong answer. So,
yes. How else do you suggest we get the revenue? If you don't want to raise taxes, we have to cut from some programs. Where should we cut?
Sure. We should cut the administrative and operational budgets of each state department agency by 10%. We need to actually make fundamental changes in Medicaid to root out waste and fraud. Until we can fix the broken pension system, with a constitutional amendment. I think we need to look at restructuring the pension debt. And even though it's not a perfect answer, we could look at raising some cash up front based on future lottery cash flows. Those are much better alternatives. They're not perfect than a tax increase. Raising taxes in the state is the absolute wrong answer. It'll drive people out of the state, and it'll hurt families.
Well, running concurrent with the budget battle is a negotiation between the governor and the state's largest public sector union for a new deal for the majority of the 60,000 or so state workers. Do you think the governor is taking a hard enough line with AFSCME, this public sector union I'm referencing? How do you see that working itself out? You just mentioned where we are in terms of the operating budget deficit for this fiscal year, not to mention the debt load the state is carrying, and you're talking about a contract that AFSCME wants that could be, more than $1 billion, something else that we can't afford. So how do you assess where that negotiation is at and whether or not the governor is being tough enough with AFSCME?
Well, I'm concerned about where we stand. The contract ran out on July 1st, and now we've indefinitely extended it. And that is a very costly contract going forward, because one of the things we need to change is state workers have to, in my view, pay a higher percentage of their health insurance costs. And that is a change that could save a lot of money over the years. So we should move on, in my view, and the governor should try to wrap up these negotiations as soon as possible. But indefinitely extending the contract, in my view, is not going to save the type of money that we need.
And we've received word from Forrest Claypool, the head of Chicago Public Schools, saying that basically we're going to have to start laying teachers off by Thanksgiving if we don't get funding from Springfield. Where does that stand right now?
Well, there was a bill that passed out of the Senate that actually provided some restructuring of the Chicago pension debt, provided some covering of the pension costs. That looks like it's dead in the House right now. We just need to do our job. I mean, this is a $67,000 a year part-time job, and we are not doing our job, and the people know it. So to be specific on that, a bill passed out of the Senate to address that issue. It's now dead in the House, and my view is we should be in the Capitol right now, and we should have an open rule which would allow votes and amendments on property tax relief, workers' compensation, the Chicago crisis, and, of course, most importantly, the budget.
All right. State Representative David McSweeney, Republican from Barrington. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper, hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, why the new Muppets TV show might scare you. Dan will explain. But first, here's your forecast today. Plenty of sunshine, gorgeous day, a high of 77. Tomorrow, more repeat, mostly sunny and pleasant, a high of 77. And we're just going to have gorgeous weather around here for the next 5 days, kind of like San Diego, with highs in the mid to upper 70s. Let's get the travel times. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Amy. Kennedy Expressway, it's 35 minutes either way between O'Hare and downtown. What's slowing the inbound commuters, some road work on the Ohio feeder in the right lane at Orleans. The locals still a little bit slower than the express. Eden's 25 minutes, like Cook to Montrose outbound 21. The Eisenhower's 45 minutes, Thorndale to downtown up on 38. To Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive up on 39. Bryan, 21 minutes, 95th to downtown. I-57, 25 minutes, I-80 to the merge, Bishopport 30. You have heavy delays on the eastbound Adams Tollway from 31 to Barrington Road and Elmhurst Road to the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway, stop and go, 31 to 59, Midwest to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial, slow 75th to the Reagan Tollway and Army Trail to Lake. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Now it's time for the Lou Dobbs Financial Report, brought to you by the Mutual Fund Store.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Corporate developments and economic reports influencing action on Wall Street, and we're watching crude oil trading above $46 a barrel. Those stories next.
2 little tablets is all it takes to make your thin hair feel and look thicker and fuller, guaranteed. Viviscal is the #1 drug-free hair growth supplement in the U.S., with 1 box being sold every minute globally. It's clinically researched to promote existing hair growth for men and women, and now a 90-day supply of Viviscal is offered in your area risk-free plus free shipping. Call 800-970-7643. Viviscal nourishes thinning hair from within. You'll love your hair growth results, guaranteed. Viviscal is so effective, it's recommended by top doctors. Here's Dr. Grant Stevens, board-certified plastic surgeon.
I feel confident recommending Viviscal to women with hair loss, thinning hair, or even dry or brittle hair. It's 100% drug-free, and it's backed by years of clinical research.
Want to try Viviscal? Every listener that calls now gets a 90-day risk-free supply plus free shipping. Call now. 800-970-7643. 800-970-7643. That's 800-970-7643.
We'll see whether Wall Street investors are able to build on yesterday's gains. Investors considering the latest economic reports and corporate developments. AutoZone, CarMax, Carnival, ConAgra, and Darden Restaurants out with earnings reports. Investors also assessing readings on home prices and mid-Atlantic manufacturing. Reports on the European economy of interest as well. We'll see whether Hillary Clinton's pledge to take on price gouging in the specialty drug market continues to drive biotech stocks lower for a second straight day. And the crude oil market in focus, prices yesterday jumping 4.5%. Bets that low crude oil prices will cut into U.S. production, driving the October crude contract above $46 a barrel. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
You know what I love about summer? Baseball. You know what I love about baseball? It's a game of probability. You know what I love about my team? Not much, because baseball is a game of probability. The odds of our starting pitcher lasting 3 innings? Slim. The likelihood we'll be mathematically eliminated before July? High. Okay, so maybe I'm not a fan of the probability of my team going above 500. But I am a fan of the fact that with some planning and a little help, I was able to influence the probability that I could retire and stay retired. Maybe our pitcher should consider retirement. Just saying.
Ready to make the game-changing decision to put a plan in place for your retirement? The Mutual Fund Store can help you do just that. Connect with us today for a free review of your investment portfolio or a second opinion on your investments. The person you'll be having a cup of coffee with is right here.
Hi, I'm Steve Check with the Mutual Fund Store in Chicagoland. Call me at 888-498-3636 or visit mutualfundstore.com and let's talk about your financial goals today.
This is Dan Proft with an Upstream idea brought to you in part by the Illinois Opportunity Project. 6,963. Illinois has 6,963 local units of government, meaning 6,963 taxing bodies, more than any other state in the nation, and it's not even close. Texas has the second most units of government with twice the population of Illinois, but with 25% fewer taxing bodies. So when politicians tell you that Illinois state income tax is about the middle of the pack nationally, they're characteristically not telling you the whole story. What they don't tell you is that you pay the highest real estate taxes in the country, something you may have guessed from a perusal of the number of taxing bodies listed on your property tax bill. The challenge in Illinois is not simply to reduce tax rates, but to reduce the number of taxing bodies. Most of the taxing bodies take a small cut that goes largely unnoticed, which goes to serve a concentrated minority interest of politicians and taxpayers, trumping the diffuse interests of the majority. And so the actual elimination of a layer of government is exceedingly rare. For more ideas like this, visit upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
AM 560. The Answer.
It's time to play the music. It's time to light the light.
Wait for it.
It's time to meet the Muppets on the Muppet Show tonight.
Bum, 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 bum. Yeah, I much watched TV. When I was a kid, every Sunday night we watched the Muppet Show. I was on from like 1976 to I think 81 or 82, and we loved it. It was so wholesome and pure, good family entertainment. And of course, we love the Swedish chefs.
Of course.
You know, because we always looked forward to that segment. What are they going to be making today? How are they going to be making the herring today?
Well, yeah, the Swedish chef apparently in the new Muppets TV show is a sexual predator who drugs people who eat his food.
I think he runs a strip club. He's a chef at a strip club.
The new Muppets TV show will scar you. This comes to us from the Daily Beast.
Ouch.
A world in which Miss Piggy gets bikini waxes.
Stop it,
and
Dan.
Fozzie Bear is hip to Grindr.
Oh, well, oh my gosh, I'm so out of it. What's Grindr?
It's like a gay sex hookup app, apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey.
Kermit, Miss Piggy, Gonzo, love Gonzo, and the gang are in more adult situations than we're used to seeing them in. This,
you think?
This airs tonight, right?
Yeah, tonight on ABC.
So it's been put together by Bill Prady, who's the producer of The Big Bang Theory, and it's shot mockumentary style like The Office. But Kermit's new girlfriend makes sexual innuendos. Zoot is an alcoholic. And
I knew it.
And there are jokes about Miss
Don't say
Piggy's.
it, please.
What did you say? Heathen regions?
Yeah, heathen region. Just the hairdressing down under.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the premise
And
of the
I
show is
think Statler and Waldorf are getting sex changes.
Miss Piggy is a host of a late night talk show. This is the premise, and her EP is Kermit the Frog, and so they take them, from the show to their real lives. And apparently, I watched the highlights last night. Miss Piggy and Kermit the Frog. I can't believe I'm talking as if they're actual people, but they were on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and Kermit the Frog was talking about his new girlfriend, and Miss Piggy was so jealous, and he said, "I'm not going to talk about her because she's not a public figure." And then they started fighting, and Jimmy Kimmel said, "This is very uncomfortable for me."
Yeah. A marketing campaign hinted at the more ribald humor the show would lean into, rub many fans the wrong way. For example, Miss Piggy wanting to get busy with Nathan Fillion, from Castle, and actually from Firefly. That's a really good series. So this is the debased Muppets in our debased culture.
What do you suppose they call that? A novelty act? I don't know, but it wasn't too bad. Well, that's a novelty.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Raj Shah, host of Secure Retirement Radio, Chicago's safe money strategist on the impending rise in interest rates.
Even Janet Yellen knows it. You can read it all over her face. She knows the second they raise it even by a quarter point, that bubble's going to pop.
Join Raj Shah for Secure Retirement Radio, strategies for building and protecting your money. Sundays at 7 a.m. here on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you living with prostate enlargement? Do you pee more often than you used to? Is there a drop in your romantic life? You need to call for a free bottle of Super Beta Prostate. With Super Beta Prostate, you'll have less urges to urinate, less waking at night, and an improvement in your romantic life, guaranteed. Try it for free. Pay only shipping and handling. Call 1-800-892-1304. 1-800-892-1304. 1-800-892-1304.
It's that time of year again. The kids are back in school. Hope abounds for a winning football team, and homeowners across Chicago are noticing structural foundation problems. So the team at Permaseal wants to help you recognize the signs of structural foundation issues. Are you noticing doors or windows that no longer shut properly? How about new cracks in your drywall, plaster walls, or exterior brickwork? Are your floors uneven? Well, these indicators can be a sign of damage to your home's foundation. If you've noticed any of these symptoms, give Permaseal a call at 800-421-SEAL, S-E-A-L, to schedule your free appointment with one of their certified structural consultants. The problem will only get worse, so don't wait for more costly damages to occur. Permaseal consultants have been trained by the manufacturer to evaluate your foundation problems and offer you a permanent solution. Don't spend a lot of money investigating the problem. Just call Permaseal today, 800-421-SEAL, to schedule a free, thorough foundation analysis. That's 800-421-SEAL, or visit permaseal.net. Permaseal is known best for being better.
If you're ready to drop your phone plan due to dropped connections, now is the time. It's the grand opening of Wireless Zone in Westmont from 5 to 8 p.m. on Thursday the 24th. Make the switch and keep your current numbers for your cell and home phone. Plus, get a $300 activation credit. The Westmont mayor will be on site, along with reps from your favorite product lines. A raffle, refreshments, and prizes lead the grand opening of Wireless Zone, 131 West Ogden in Westmont at 5 p.m. on Thursday the 24th. 630-541-3461.
Nearly 40 million Americans are suffering with hearing loss. And right now, we're on a mission to help as many of you as possible start hearing everything more clearly again. We're giving away risk-free trials of our advanced life-changing hearing breakthrough called Listen Clear. We'll even give you free shipping and free batteries for life. But these risk-free supplies are extremely limited, so please call now. 1-800-400-5784. Listen Clear is precisely designed by top audio engineers to adjust to let you find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And Listen Clear is so invisible, people may not even know you're wearing it. And it's so lightweight, you may even forget you're wearing it too. If you're one of the millions suffering with hearing loss, let us give you a 100% risk-free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now. 1-800-400-5784. That's 1-800-400-5784. 1-800-400-5784.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer, Scott Walker walks out but sends a message to his former competitors.
And John Cavadini, who's a theology professor from Notre Dame, which used to be a Catholic university, is going to join us to talk about how Pope Francis should challenge us at 7:37.
But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, the mayor is set to unveil a proposed budget with a massive property tax hike included. South Suburban man charged after a woman is abducted. A DNA match led police to a suspect in a 1985 Glen Ellen case. And Rizzo and Soler sparked the Cubs in a win over the Brewers, while Samardzija and Johnson lead the White Sox to a Tiger sweep. Sunny and beautiful today. WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony, saying the Republican race has gotten full of personal attacks. Scott Walker stops running.
In the end, I believe that the voters want to be for something and not against someone.
So Wisconsin's governor wants another presidential candidate to take out the front runner. Fox News Radio's Rachel Sutherland live in Washington.
The Wisconsin governor wants more elbow room in the Republican race for president. When he called it quits yesterday, he called on some of his former contenders to do the same.
I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field.
Without naming Donald Trump, Walker warned he could damage the party. Trump praised Walker on Twitter before the formal announcement, saying he's a nice person and has a great future. Dave.
Now, Rachel, the surging Carly Fiorina was singing on late night TV.
My name's Nick, and I'm lazy.
Fiorina having fun with Jimmy Fallon on NBC.
When people get to know me, they tend to support me. That's what you see in the polls.
Pope Francis will celebrate one last Mass in Cuba, then come to America today, welcomed by President Obama.
It's being called the largest security operation ever. And this morning, there's a new warning from law enforcement. They're worried terrorists are trying to impersonate police officers and firefighters in order to launch an attack in the U.S. Now, this memo was not specifically tied to the Pope's visit, nor are there any credible threats against the Pope that we know of. But this just goes to show you how many different possible scenarios are being factored in to make sure that the Pope is safe.
Fox's Kristen Fisher. The Pope will visit Washington, New York, and Philadelphia. Volkswagen stock plunging again, another 18%, as the company admits it rigged the software in 11 million diesel cars worldwide to cheat on emissions tests.
Our company was dishonest with the EPA and the California Air Resources Board, and with all of you. And in my German words, we have totally screwed up.
Michael Horn, head of Volkswagen USA, the automaker could face billions of dollars in fines. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Sunrise over Chicago, 59 degrees, 7:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. After watching for years as their city's financial troubles piled up, Chicago homeowners will be told this week it's time for them to start paying the tab. Mayor Emanuel's office says he's proposing a phased-in $543 million property tax to help eliminate police and fire and pension debt. Emanuel also wants a new monthly fee for garbage hauling and taxes on taxi rides, ride-sharing services, and is also considering a congestion tax. David McSweeney, a state representative, joined Dan and Amy this morning and says that's a bad idea.
London, as Dan cited, that seems to be the model. They actually have an option to monitor license plates to use scanning devices. It's just a terrible idea all the way around. It really will just drive jobs out of this state. It's a terrible idea. We should be encouraging people to come to Chicago, and as you said, we need more taxpayers in the state.
E-cigarette smokers could also feel the wrath of Emanuel's tax hikes. This 3 weeks after an Illinois police officer was shot to death, investigators have revealed little about their investigation. They say they have received results of gun residue and ballistic testing conducted in the investigation into the shooting death of Fox Lake police officer Joseph Glinowitz. Christopher Covelli says the results do not support or exclude any theory. Strike is over at Rock Valley College. School officials announcing last night that the union there voted to accept a new 5-year agreement, ending a 4-day work stoppage. Meantime, negotiators and union reps continue to talk trying to end a 5-day walkout in Prospect Heights, District 23. Another session is scheduled for later tonight. White Sox over Detroit, 2-0 and 3-2. In a double dip, Jeff Samardzija and Eric Johnson, your winners. Anthony Rizzo, 3 hits. Magic number 4 as the Cubs beat Milwaukee 9-5. Monday Night Football, Jets over the Colts. The news service of Whole Foods Market this week. At Whole Foods Market, save on organic squash, 99 cents per pound. Visit any of their 25 Chicagoland locations, including the Willowbrook store in its brand new location, 6300 Kingery Highway, or Route 83 if you prefer. Whole Foods Market, America's healthiest grocery store. 7:04 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
She's bold.
You're not black, so drop the racism crap.
She's controversial.
When you bring the people here, you bring those cultures here.
She's unapologetic.
This is a total fraud and a fig leaf.
And she's coming to Freedom Summit Chicago 2015. She's Ann Coulter.
Now I'm talking.
See best-selling author and conservative firebrand Ann Coulter live on Saturday, November 14th at Freedom Summit Chicago in Itasca. Get your tickets now at freedomsummitchicago.com. That's freedomsummitchicago.com.
Where do more than 2 million people go each day to do their best work? They go to Regis. Regis has beautifully designed tech-powered offices and co-working spaces with full admin support. Let Regis manage the details for you so you can focus on your business. Call Regis at 1-800-OFFICES to get up and running fast, without the hassle. Join the 2 million people who have found a better way to work. And right now, get a free officer meeting room for a day when you call 1-800-OFFICES. Regis, here to help you grow.
Are you ready to take your diabetes management to the next level? Put the Contour Next meter to the test and challenge your meter. The Contour Next meter makes testing easy and highly accurate with close to lab level results. And J.D. Power ranked Bayer's portfolio of meters highest in customer satisfaction with blood glucose meters. So take the challenge. Go to ContourNextChallenge.com, get a free meter, and enter to win free test strips. Contour Next. Accuracy you can trust.
7:06 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Get the latest on your commute with our Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Eisenhower is jammed now from North Avenue to the Tri-State in Manheim to California. It is an hour from Thorndale to the post office, 42 minutes from Manheim, outbound 40 to Thorndale. Edens, 30 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 25. The Kennedy, 40 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 50. Inbound Stevenson, 56 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 41. The Ryan, 25 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, stop and go Cicero to Archer. From the Stevenson to 31st, and from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway has heavy delays from 31 to past Barrington Road. Then Elmhurst Road to the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway stop and go Randall to 59 and Highland to Midwest. Veterans Memorial, very slow from I-55 to the Reagan Tollway and slow from the Army Trail Toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Here's meteorologist Jeremy Pearson.
We have a beautiful day ahead of us with mostly sunny skies, high 77, mainly clear tonight, low 57. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high 77. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasantly warm, high 76. I'm Jeremy Pearson, AM 560, The Answer.
Sunshine, 56 right now at O'Hare, 59 along the lakefront. Next news at 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Radio Garden Sense, a show bringing your property's gardening needs alive. Radio Garden Sense, Sunday mornings at 11 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same.
He peaked early, and it's not just a process event. When he peaked early, he was way out ahead from that one great speech he made in Iowa. He then played safe.
While so-called establishment candidates like Walker have watched their poll numbers slide, outsiders like Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and now Carly Fiorina continue to surge ahead, but also putting them under sharper scrutiny.
I wouldn't advocate for
I hate to say this, I wouldn't advocate for Hillary Clinton to be president. Does that make me anti-woman?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
What is up? Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. One of the things that's up is Scott Walker's out.
Yeah, you licking your wounds this morning, or how you handling it?
A bit surprising. As I've said previously, I'm a longtime Illinois Republican, so I'm used to having to handle defeat. A bit surprising that it came as early and as swift as it did for Scott Walker, who up until June, maybe even into July, was a front runner in Iowa and widely perceived to be a Tier 1 candidate who was going to go the distance. Well, the race got cut short. Scott Walker appearing in Madison yesterday.
In what appeared to be like a closet or something. I mean, it seemed like a rushed press conference to just get it over with.
You know, like a Band-Aid. Here's Scott Walker leaving the race, but also leaving with a call to his fellow combatants.
As a kid, I was drawn to Ronald Reagan because he was a Republican and a conservative. But most of all, I admired him because of his eternal optimism in the American people. That thought came into my head when we were all standing on the stage at the Reagan Library last Wednesday. Ronald Reagan was good for America because he was an optimist. Sadly, the debate taking place in the Republican Party today is not focused on that optimistic view of America. Instead, it has drifted into personal attacks. In the end, I believe that the voters want to be for something and not against someone. Today, I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive, conservative message can rise to the top of the field. With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same so that the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
So the question is, two questions. One, if you were a Scott Walker supporter, where should you go?
Dan.
And number two, who should be next to go? 312-642-5600, turnkey.pro, answer line, 646-36DA, turnkey.pro, text line.
That's the first time I've seen a little anger out of Scott Walker. He seemed very annoyed by, he didn't say his name, of course, the T word, Trump, but he's taking this seriously. He actually, I think we agree on, Trump or Walker and I agree on something, that Trump might actually win this unless people step down and solidify against one conservative candidate to seriously take on Donald Trump and to challenge him to answer some of his questions, these theories that he has.
I think his wife, I think that he was a little annoyed that his wife, Tonette, was clapping when he said that he's suspending his campaign. I don't know who it was. I think he was annoyed by that person, whoever that was.
Oh, okay.
So I would say a couple of things about Walker. Let's number one, be honest about this. And I like Scott Walker. I think he's an authentic person. I think he's been a great leader and a great governor.
He still is governor.
Correct. But it's very convenient to make a call that others leave the race along with you to consolidate around someone other than Donald Trump. I mean, it's just a convenient time and place to do it so that you're not just withdrawing, you're leaving us with something that you're still providing, at least perception-wise, some leadership or efforting to. So I just don't know how compelling it is.
Was it money? I mean, why did he get out of the race so early?
Well,
Did he run out of cash?
I think it's it seems to be a combination of money and, it turns out there's a couple of cardinal sins in politics in this age that you cannot commit at the national level in running for president. He committed both of them. One, as someone who is not going to be well-known nationally, even despite all of the national attention to Wisconsin for the last several years. He had a mediocre rollout, and he was murky, if not at some points self-conflicting on issues that became ascendant in the race, like immigration. And number two, he's bad on TV. He's just bad on TV. He doesn't have kind of stage presence. He is not a great orator. He is not a compelling personality. And again, I say this as a big fan, but you have to recognize the strengths and limitations of your candidate. I thought that his limitation would turn out to be a bit of a strength, the kind of the charisma of competence backdropped against the last 6 years of the intellectual lightweight that we have, and the persnickety intellectual lightweight at that we have in the White House. It didn't turn out to be the case. I don't think Scott Walker or anybody predicted that in the fall of 2015 we would be talking about Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and Carly Fiorina as your top three candidates for president of the United States. It's just, I think he was slow, as some other candidates were, to react to what was actually bubbling below the surface in the Republican primary electorate, and he paid the price.
Well, he was hampered by repeated missteps when he suggested he went on Meet the Press and suggested we build a wall between, on the Canadian border. And then remember early on in his campaign when he compared his battle with the public union to fighting ISIS. That was a bit of a misstep. And he did flip-flop on the birthright citizenship, but I was willing to give him a pass on that. I just thought that he'd stick around a lot longer. I don't think he did as poorly in the last debate as some people suggested. I thought he was tough on Trump, and he seemed more relaxed and confident to me. So I was really, really surprised.
He faded. I mean, that was his last best stand, clearly, and he faded. And when he faded, after opening with kind of the "we don't need an apprentice in the White House," he faded. I think he had the least amount of talk time in that debate of any of the candidates, and that was a free-for-all. So all he had to do, and what he should have done a better job of, is interjecting himself. It's just not Scott Walker, and it's just difficult when he started to get outside of his personality as somebody who was comfortable in his own skin, but he had to kind of try and fit into the zeitgeist of the time. His speech at Eureka College, "I'm going to wreak havoc on Washington." That's just not the way Scott Walker talks. He's an understated guy. Part of the charm and the attractiveness of Scott Walker was how he was such a steady hand, understated, cool under pressure during the siege on Madison by the public sector unions, and that started to go away. And so did his donors, and thus so did his campaign. And obviously, they just, despite the announcement that they were going to kind of retrench and go back to base camp in Iowa and try and restart the campaign there, they obviously didn't see a pathway home in Iowa, and thus no pathway home to the nomination.
312-642-5600. Who's going to be his beneficiary with him dropping out? Is this going to help Rubio? Is this going to help Ted Cruz? And who are you going to support now, Dan? Are you still candidate shopping?
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at Ted Cruz. I think Ted Cruz is, I think, the smartest guy on the stage.
Oh, he is.
And I don't think it's close, frankly. But that's not enough just to be the smartest person. But the reason I like Cruz is he's also the most trustworthy person. I believe that he will be a guy who takes the bicycle chain to the playground in Washington, D.C. I believe that he would.
Well, he's definitely the smartest candidate.
The problem is, stylistically, Cruz has some challenges, and I just don't know if he can get over them. I like Carly Fiorina. I know there are questions about her. There are questions that have been raised about her in op-eds today, including one by Jeffrey Sonnenfeld, who's a business management professor at Yale, and he was referenced by Trump in the last debate. I think those are legitimate questions that need to be raised, and she needs to answer about her tenure at HP. And also, more importantly, rather than just relitigating her tenure at HP, lessons learned from her experience at HP. We really haven't heard that. We've heard a lot of her defending her record against attacks. We haven't heard her explain lessons learned. I'd like to hear that from Fiorina. But I'm willing to be persuaded. I'm open. I thought Walker was the best candidate, was the right man at the right time for the job. Obviously, that's not going to happen. John and Shanahan, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
I want to speak to your comment about Scott Walker being bad on TV. I think bad on TV is bad for our selection process. I feel like since 1960, we've just been selecting the best clown in the circus.
Well,
looks started playing a part when we started having presidential debates on television. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Helped Kennedy over the top, along with old Mayor Daley helped him over the top too, in a different kind of way. Certainly it helped Reagan though. I mean, because Reagan was so good on TV with his acting background and his spokesman background, his media background. He was the great communicator. So it was helpful, and that was a great selection. That was a great presidency.
And it's sad and sick to say, but looks do matter. That's why Ted Cruz, I think, has a little bit of a problem because he's a cross between Wallace and McCarthy. That's what he looks like.
And Tom Ricketts.
Yeah, oh, that's right. Yes, you're right.
Scott on the West Side.
Thanks, Dan and Amy. I love the show. Dan, the last statements that you've been making are parallel how I feel exactly. You say it much better than I would. I agree with you that Ted Cruz is probably going to come out better. And Scott Walker had the looks on TV. He just didn't have the charisma that was necessary. And he kind of was like a wilting flower, to be honest, an old flower that's been sitting in the cooler too long. That's the way he appeared to me. But I liked him. If he could have conveyed that better, it would have been good. I think the next person I wish would leave would be Jeb Bush. Unfortunately, I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Right. Thanks for the call, Scott. And by the way, Scott mirrors an op-ed this morning by Matt Iglesias in Vox.com, who's a liberal, but suggesting Jeb should drop out for the good of the GOP and make way for Marco Rubio, who's the best candidate that we have. Iglesias may have a point, even though I have some concerns about Rubio.
Didn't you think Jindal, Graham, Huckabee would drop out, Chris Christie would drop out long before Scott Walker would?
Well, it's about how you're deploying resources, and if you have few resources, but you're kind of managing them for the long game to at least get to Iowa and take your shot in Iowa to see if you can capture some momentum, then you can hang around. The barriers to entry are relatively low because there's so many candidates, and it's a race to double digits. I think Walker's campaign was spending money at a more rapacious pace than that, and it didn't allow him to kind of hang around to Iowa and see if he could catch fire again. By the way, Jeb Bush, I hate to break it to people, Jeb Bush, I still think is best positioned to win the nomination. I still think that, debate performances notwithstanding, he is winning the invisible primary, and he's hanging around just below Trump, Fiorina, and Carson. So long way from the nomination. Chris in North Riverside.
Yeah, I think that Scott Walker will remain a force because he's shown a policy direction forward, Dan, which is what you've talked about so eloquently over the months. And I think in terms of where this thing is going, I have to say Rubio is a very attractive guy, but I'm looking very closely at Carly Fiorina to see if she can withstand this pressure. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah,
she's rehearsed and disciplined, though. I think she can withstand the pressure.
Well, it'll be interesting.
She's played with the big boys before.
There's no question. I think she's tough enough for this arena. I don't think there's any question about that. But how she responds and how the campaign responds, because it's not just her, how the campaign responds when she gets baned by the right and then the left, a la Mitt Romney, and her record as a corporate CEO is going to be interesting. Tom and Kankakee.
Hey, guys. How you doing today?
Good.
Yeah, I wanted to address what Amy said mathematically or empirically. What Danny might say is who the smartest candidate among them all. And I understand that Cruz was a law clerk for who, Dan?
Rehnquist.
Thank you. One of the greatest judges of our modern era. I understand he's a super intelligent man, but having just gone through a colon surgery and dealt with these guys, man, these surgeons are in a second, third generation from what most of me, 60-year-old men, can even understand. I want to put forward that with John Hopkins' history and perhaps the mathematical scores of Dr. Carson, that indeed, in fact, he may be the smartest man. And Trump lives by the Uniform Commercial Code. The politicians live by the perverted societies that Dan and Amy talk about every day. Great show.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Plenty of sunshine, just a spectacular day, a high of 77 degrees tonight. Clear, a low in the 50s. Travel times, here's Jim.
Amy, we can't blame the weather for the awful traffic in Chicago. The Kennedy is an hour from O'Hare to downtown. Express lanes save nothing. Outbound an hour and 10 minutes. Eden's 35 minutes either way between Lake Hook and Montrose. The Eisenhower, an hour and 20 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 47 minutes. The Stevenson, 56 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 41. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive's getting heavy. Tollways, all very heavy. I'm Jim Talamonte. ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Sweet mother of God, what is the holdup?
Hey, if you need to sell your home in Chicagoland, Sean Hannity here with some very important facts that you need to know. 40% of homes hitting the market in Chicago are not selling. Now, those are horrible odds. That's exactly why you need to call Saul Z and the Z team at Keller Williams, based right here in Chicagoland. Saul sells a home on average every 24 hours and attracts hundreds of buyers every month locally, nationally, and internationally. Recently, the Wall Street Journal ranked Saul's team in the top 110 teams out of 1.2 million agents in the U.S. Saul Z guarantees to sell your home in 29 days at a price and deadline that you agreed to, or he will buy your home or he'll sell it for free. Plus, working with Saul is also risk-free. After 24 hours, if he's not doing his job, you can walk away free and clear. Don't worry, you won't. Just call the agent I would call if I needed to sell my home and lived in Chicagoland. Call Saul now at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666. Or go online at callsaul.net. That's callsaul.net.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
Your product is terrific. I feel great. More energy. I've lost some weight. I can think clearer and faster. Everything that he said, Dr. Howard says it does on the program, it does, and then some. Boy, oh boy, I feel terrific. Nothing compares with this. Honestly, I know people always say this in testimonials, but this is the God's honest truth. I feel like a man 20 years younger.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
Our event is going well. I just wish they wouldn't have used the plastic tablecloths.
The food looks like it's been under the heat lamp for an hour.
I can't believe they didn't have room to seat the accounting department at the last minute.
When you plan a corporate event, wedding, or social gathering, you have that picture-perfect image in your head of what it's supposed to look like. At Belvedere Banquets, they bring the shining elegance you expect to see downtown right to the suburbs. From their photogenic lobby fountain to their 5-star quality food options, Belvedere Banquets has your next big event covered in shimmering excellence. They can even bring their top-notch catering right to you. It's time to host an event that leaves everyone in awe at a price that can accommodate budgets for groups of 12 to 1,000. Call 847-534-0600 or visit their beautiful website at belvederebanquets.com. Get the positive event planning experience you deserve for your next occasion. 847-534-0600 or belvederebanquets.com.
There are two kinds of pain. Pain that goes away and the worst kind, chronic pain. If you suffer from chronic pain, life is not complete and it can be miserable. Unfortunately, most people use narcotics that mask the pain. You need to find the source of the chronic pain and get relief.
This is Dr. Ken Candido of Chicago Anesthesia Pain Specialists. We're serious players in the management of pain, and our team are national leaders as well as being educators in the treatment of pain. We will work with you to diminish or eliminate your pain and help you get your life back. You know, there's a nationwide narcotics epidemic, and people are too quick to mask over chronic pain instead of looking for the cause and treating or eliminating the pain. Contact us. We will help you.
Go to mypainchicago.com. Call and make an appointment with some of the best pain people in the nation, located here in Chicago. mypainchicago.com. You or someone you know suffers in the suffering of chronic pain. mypainchicago.com. Let's make you pain-free.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship, powered by Tandem HR.
There's no such thing as leaving your work at the office. Smartphones, tablets, and the cloud make working from anywhere at any time a reality. While it can be both a blessing and a curse to be constantly connected, companies need to recognize that employees aren't just doing business on their devices. Without written policies in place, there are no standards to reference when situations arise. Your company's policy should address what devices are permitted. A stringent security policy should include the necessity of passwords for personal devices, what apps are allowed, acceptable use, and an employee exit strategy. Each of these ideas come with many important questions to ask yourself, your IT department, and your HR team. For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein, heard Sunday evenings at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is brought to you by Everett Wealth Solutions.
AM 560, The Answer.
And coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
At 7:37, Notre Dame theology professor John Cavadini joins us to explain how he hopes Pope Francis challenges us during his U.S. visit.
Hey, remember that Syrian refugee who was holding his young son and deliberately tripped by a camera woman? Well, he's gotten a new start. He has landed on his feet. Wait until you hear what he and his family are doing now. But first, let's go back into the newsroom and say good morning to Mike Scott.
59 degrees. We have winds out of the south at 4 miles an hour. Pope Francis beginning his visit to America today. The president greeting the pontiff at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland. Volkswagen set to be setting aside over $7 billion to deal with a growing scandal involving the emissions in its diesel vehicles. Michael Horn is president and CEO of the Volkswagen Group of America.
Our company was dishonest with the EPA and the California Air Resources Board and with all of you. And in my German words, we have totally screwed up.
The U.S. Justice Department is probing that matter. Republican presidential candidate Scott Walker dropping out of the presidential race. The Wisconsin governor saying yesterday that the GOP race for the White House has drifted into personal attack.
I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same so that the voters can focus on a limited number of candidates who can offer a positive, conservative alternative to the current frontrunner.
Candidate Carly Fiorina says she would have no problem with a Muslim in the White House.
It says in our Constitution that religion cannot be a test for office. It is also true that this country was founded on the principle that we judge each individual and that anyone of any faith is welcome here.
Carly Fiorina on The Tonight Show with Jimmy Fallon. One escaped inmate is back in jail this morning. Another remains on the lam in Kentucky. Christopher Cornelius and Matthew Johnson escaped the Louisville Metro Department of Corrections by tying bed sheets together and lowering themselves from the downtown jail's roof. Two apparently were on work duty at the time. Chicago homeowners will be told as soon as today it's time for them to start picking up the tab for the mayor's office and the city of Chicago not doing their fair share to keep the city above water financially. The mayor's office saying he'll propose a phased-in $543 million property tax. He'll also outline other taxes and fees for garbage collection, ride-sharing, and to try and improve credit rating, also e-cigarette taxes. Strike is over at Rock Valley College. School officials there announcing the union voted to accept a new 5-year agreement. Meantime, board negotiators and union reps continue to talk after a 5-day walkout continued in Prospect Heights District 23. A man from the south suburbs is being accused of abducting and sexually assaulting a woman from his hometown. Carlius Clay of Lansing has been charged with kidnapping. He was arrested Sunday in Holland, Michigan, several days after a woman was taken from her home in Lansing, driven in her own car to Munster, Indiana. The kidnapper then sexually assaulted the victim twice before she freed herself when the suspect made a stop in Burns Harbor. Chicago sports, White Sox took a pair from the Tigers 2-0 and 3-2, while the Cubs' magic number is 4 after a 9-5 win over Milwaukee. The news is a service of Think It Up. 7:32 is our time, and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager validates his opinion of Hillary Clinton.
Here's one of the funniest articles that was not meant to be funny that I have read in a long time. Asked to name something tangible that Hillary Clinton has actually accomplished, many voters come up blank. Is that hilarious? That is a news story from the Washington Post. I've said that the whole time. The woman has accomplished nothing.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Hi, I'm Parker Conrad, and I'm the CEO of Zenefits. We do something super boring, but really useful. Software for businesses to manage human resources. Zenefits takes all your HR systems, payroll, insurance, time tracking, and more, and we connect them all together so you and your employees can manage them all online in one place. Going forward, you don't have to deal with stuff like filling out new hire paperwork, health insurance forms, setting up payroll deductions, and so on. That's all gone. With Zenefits, you can focus on your company and your people, not your HR paperwork. We use Zenefits ourselves, and over the past year, we've used it to scale our team of about 15 people in San Francisco to over 700 employees across 4 different states. Today, more than 10,000 small businesses use our service, and we'd love to show you what Zenefits can do for yours.
See what Zenefits is all about. Oh, and best of all, it's free. Yes, free. Zenefits.com. Zenefits.com. Zenefits.com.
7:34 is our time. Let's get an update on the roads in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's our Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The northbound tri-state has heavy delays from Cicero most of the way to 31st and from the Reagan Tollway to Grand Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway stop and go 31 to past Barrington Road and Elmhurst Road to the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway, heavy delays. Orchard to Winfield Road, Naperville Road to Gackley, and Roosevelt to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial stop and go. I-55 to the Reagan Tollway from the Army Trail Toll to 290. The Edens is 35 minutes either way between Lake Hook and Maltruth. The Kennedy, an hour. O'Hare to downtown, slower on the Express. The Ohio Feeder's jammed right now. Outbound, it's an hour and 10 minutes downtown to O'Hare. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 57 minutes. The Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 41 minutes. The Ryan, 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Traffic service with the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation. Someone you know is suffering from Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis. They're dealing with excruciating pain. Help someone you know and support the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation of America at ccfa.org. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Sunny and beautiful today, high 77. Clear and 57 overnight and 77 again tomorrow. 56 at O'Hare. It is 59 along Chicago's lakefront. Your next news update is at 8. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals, the experienced marketing pro that gets the most money for your home listing.
Let freedom ring this afternoon at 2 with Sean Hannity, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. So the Pope is in Philly today. He will stop in New York. He will be in Washington, D.C. He will address, not only will he visit with President Obama on the South Lawn to the insulting assemblage that President Obama has put together to receive Pope Francis, but he will also address a joint session of Congress. Mm-hmm. So he's going to have a lot to say.
Have 16 events in 5 days, Dan. It's going to be busy.
There was a 60 Minutes piece on him on Sunday, and it talked about his discipline and his schedule. Gets up at 4:30 in the morning, devotes a couple of hours to kind of getting his internal
prayer,
spirituality, right? Aligned, and then works till 10:30 at night. So this is not somebody who's averse to a long day, particularly impressive for a 78-year-old man. But what will the Pope say? How might he challenge us? How should he challenge us in the many remarks that he's going to offer over the next several days? To help us answer that question, we're now joined by John Cavadini, who is a professor of theology and a director of the Institute for Church Life at the University of Notre Dame. Professor Cavadini, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. So this piece that you wrote in the New York Daily News, Challenge Us, Pope Francis, How would you like to see Pope Francis challenge us in America?
I think I'd love to see Pope Francis challenge us by asking us to step out of the comfort zones that we kind of all put ourselves in. I think that I know some people are upset with Pope Francis for seeming to endorse the theories of climate change and global warming, but I don't think you actually have to endorse those theories to step out of your comfort zone and stop using plastic bags at the supermarket, stop throwing away plastic bottles. So you can make the sacrifice, in other words, to step out of the throwaway culture, whether or not you endorse global theories of global warming. And I think sometimes people who don't, let me speak for myself. If I don't endorse a particular theory, I might focus on my own non-endorsement of the theory instead of taking practical action that I know I should take anyway.
I think the struggle and part of this, particularly with the throwaway culture, which Pope Francis refers to often, is at least in the media coverage, there seems to be no distinction between a throwaway culture when it comes to plastic bags versus human life.
Yeah.
And when he was in Cuba, Pope Francis had some advice to, as he referred to them, existentially sad millennials. And I'm quoting Pope Francis, children are thrown away because they are unwanted, because they kill them before they are born. The elderly are thrown away. I'm speaking of the world in general, because they don't produce anymore. Pope Francis admonishing young people to be capable of creating social friendship. That part of Pope Francis isn't elevated in the media coverage because it doesn't fit with what the media hopes Pope Francis wants, what the media hopes Pope Francis is.
It doesn't fit with their comfort zone. But the Pope's very clear about it when he says, efforts are made to deny the human dignity of infants, of unborn babies, and to do with them whatever we please, taking their lives and passing laws preventing anyone from standing in the way of this. So that's, to me, the kicker of the throwaway culture, that it has extended to human beings and that the culture has somehow become coarse to this, that we don't even react. So I think that you see the media resisting getting out of their comfort zone when they can't even report that with the same kind of even at all, but also with the same kind of enthusiasm they report everything else.
Well, Pope Francis is going to be obviously going to the Capitol, being on the floor of Congress. Is he going to be addressing it all, or do you expect him to discuss Planned Parenthood and the defunding of Planned Parenthood?
I doubt that he'd say anything directly about it. But I would hope that he'd say something that pointed to the moral issue that would then result in people deciding to defund Planned Parenthood, because some people don't even think of it as a moral issue anymore, which is why we need the Pope to reawaken our conscience and to call us to conversion on this issue. I think as a culture, and to ask us, what direction is your culture going if you think you can throw away human life like you do throw away a plastic bottle?
Papal infallibility does not necessarily extend to economics, to baseball, to things that are not related to the catechesis. And so I wonder how you interpret what the Pope has to say about economics when he talks about us worshiping the idol of money. Bill McGurn in the Wall Street Journal opines today saying that if we've learned anything from Latin America, it's that the opposite of market competition isn't, as the Pope seems to believe, cooperation, suggesting Latin America, South America, not exactly the models for the kind of treatment of every individual with dignity that the Pope speaks about. How do you interpret when the Pope when he talks economics?
Well, the Pope is not infallible when he talks economics. Neither am I, though. I have to say that I'm not.
Me neither.
I have to say that I don't publish opinions in economics, but I would put it this way. When he talks about deifying the market, he's not thinking only of, I guess, the literal sense, the market out there. He's also asking us to look into our hearts. Do we actually deify the market, and do we hold money as an idol? Mm-hmm. Because part of deifying money is throwing kids away. Like if you're as a culture have deified the market, let's say in your hearts, never mind the actual economics, I can't pronounce on them, then you won't find the courage in yourself as a culture. I'm not blaming necessarily individual women, but as a culture, you will not find the courage to stop throwing kids away. and you won't find the courage to make the changes you need to improve the environment. Which, whether you believe in global warming or not, we do have a problem.
And I can't even get plastic bags of my jewels anymore at the Target. Or I can't. I can't.
You can't even go to your jewels anymore because it doesn't exist.
All right. So when the Pope was in Cuba, he preached against the dangers of wealth, but yet he's coming to one of the wealthiest nations on the planet. Is that an oxymoron, or how is he going to address that issue, considering the level of wealth we have here?
Well, it's interesting. First of all, it's the first time he's come here, so I think that must be an implicit judgment anyway, that wealth isn't everything. And I think also the Christian tradition has always preached that wealth in itself is not evil. Everything has to do with what attitudes you have towards it. And I think that image of deification is good. Somehow, in some place in our hearts, do we worship money? We won't say that. We won't say that to ourselves, yeah, I do. But do you act as though you do? Does the culture, because what Pope Francis is trying to say is it's very deadening. And I think to the wealthiest country in the world, it's not bad to listen to someone saying wealth isn't everything. It isn't evil. But if you have it, it gives you a huge responsibility to how you use it.
We're talking to Professor John Cavadini. He's professor of theology at Notre Dame. I wonder, Professor, about self-loathing Catholics. And is the Pope trying to kind of bring them back into the fold by de-emphasizing some issues at the expense of other issues, a larger conversation? You have so many Catholics I run into, and I are one, that essentially adopt the caricature of people who don't have any particular respect or interest in Catholicism, but Catholics adopting their caricature of Catholicism and seeming to distance themselves from their own professed faith. It's kind of an odd thing, which is why I call it self-loathing.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very familiar with that dynamic, because I think in some ways you see it in students, not that they're self-loathing, but that this kind of dismissal of Catholicism without thinking deeply about it, as though they have the right to dismiss it without thinking deeply about it. I think they've been taught that attitude. And so I have a job, in my opinion, my job is to teach a different attitude. And I think I have two steps for that. The first thing is, and I think this is one of Pope Francis's messages, and so it was Pope Benedict's message too, you have to get back to the basics. Why do we have a religion in the first place? We have a religion in the first place because we need meaning in our lives. And where does meaning come from? You don't get meaning just at the store. You can't buy it. You can't shop for it. You have to get meaning from the revelation of divine love, which is what the Catholic Church is all about, the revelation of divine love and the sacraments of divine love. So when you put that out first, that's the most beautiful thing, which can reawaken someone's faith, I think, and affection, both for the religion and for the Church. The other things come in tow. It has to be that way, because if you focus on, if your first focus is on the most controversial things, then people forget why they even have the religion. It has to be reversed.
What do you think the president and his wife, Michelle Obama, are going to learn from the Pope? Do you think they'll become more religious by any chance in the world? Maybe actually attend church?
I don't really know about that. I think to me, I look at the Pope's visit this way. It is a huge call for conversion, and everyone has their own place where they need conversion. And I think in a way, I hope that call is heard in the White House. Yes, I do. But I also hope it's heard in my own heart, because I feel like I can't teach it unless I embrace it.
He is Professor John Cavadini. He's professor of theology and director of the Institute for Church Life, Notre Dame University, the Fightin' Irish. Professor Cavadini, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
A Hungarian camera woman knocked them down, but they have risen. The latest on the Syrian refugee family and where they are now. But first, here's your forecast today. Mostly sunny skies, just a gorgeous day, a high of 77. In fact, we'll have the same forecast for the rest of the week and into the weekend. Highs in the mid to upper 70s. Let's see how the inbound Kennedy is shaping up. Is it still an hour from O'Hare to downtown? Here's Jim Talamonte with the answer.
It is, Amy. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. Thank you. The Kennedy Expressway is an hour from O'Hare to downtown. Express lanes are slower. In fact, the Ohio feeder is jammed with roadwork at Orleans in the right lane. Outbound worse, an hour and 10 minutes for that reverse commute downtown to O'Hare. To Edens, 30 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 40. The inbound Eisenhower runs an hour and 25 minutes. Thorndale to downtown, outbound 57 minutes. The Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine, 35 minutes. 95th to downtown. Eastbound I-80 jammed from before Humboldt to 53 after a crash. Westbound 80-94 for Grant to Burr with a crash in the right lane. Tollways are all very heavy. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Got a great night's sleep last night, all thanks to MyPillow from MyPillow. And thank you to all of our listeners who have purchased thousands of MyPillows over the last 18 months and are enjoying your best sleep ever. But that still leaves thousands of you who haven't taken advantage of the buy one, get one free offer. So what are you waiting for? It is so important, Dan, to get a great night's sleep. It conforms to your neck and back. It helps with snoring, neck pain, insomnia, allergies. Plus, MyPillow is washable, and it keeps its shape to give you support where you need it most. That's why it was named the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. American made. For the MyPillow buy one, get one free offer, just visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Please use the promo code Amy. So do it now, 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
Tasty Catering is bringing outdoor happiness to you and your coworkers in a variety of forms this picnic season.
Down-home barbecue, street tacos, sausages and sandwiches, steaks, chops, fish, Greek feasts, pig roasts, the list goes on.
Tasty Catering picnic foods are getting more deliciously sophisticated than ever, too, which means you can meet everyone's needs with even more great picnic food options.
Organic, gluten-free, vegetarian, vegan, and dairy-free options never tasted so picnicky.
Your picnic doesn't stop with amazing freshly grilled food, entertainment, rentals, decor, venue selection. Get everything you need with one single call to Tasty Catering.
Inflatables and crafts for the kids, games and athletics for the teenagers, beverage packages and entertainment options for the adults. There's so much to choose from.
The best company picnics start at tastycatering.com. View picnic menus, entertainment options, picnic spots, and more when you visit tastycatering.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you wanted to do an FHA Streamline refinance to lower your interest rate and payment, you called me and I helped you. When you wanted to refinance your 11% loan, you called me and I helped you. When you wanted to use your retirement assets to do an asset depletion loan, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, please call me at 312-751-1333. 312-751-1333. Email me at david@pearldavid.com. That's David at PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com licensing.
Coming up next, it's me, Mike Gallagher, right after Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
Two quick corrections, Amy. One, this is why should a guy who hasn't been in a supermarket in 20 years, why should he be talking about supermarkets? Obviously, Dominick's doesn't exist. You talked about going to Jewel's.
Right.
Jewel's exists. Dominick's doesn't exist. So mea culpa on that.
What is the new Dominick's? You know who replaced Dominick's?
Well, like Whole Foods.
No, Mariano's.
No, but didn't Whole Foods buy some of the Dominick locations too?
Yeah, but I mean, Mariano's, the former owners took over all the Dominick's stores. Most of them.
And text from...
You really haven't been shopping.
No, but the Whole Foods in my neighborhood was a Dominick's.
Okay.
Yeah, in Streeterville. So I'm not...
You drove by it a few times. I got a guy.
A text from 630. Dan, I hope you understand the doctrine of papal infallibility better than that. I understand it perfectly well. Thanks for asking.
Okay. Well, what people were asking about the one shot, this one footage that emerged a few weeks ago of a Syrian refugee, a man desperately trying to escaped from the Serbian border into Hungary to eventually end up in Germany. His name was Osama, and he was carrying his 7-year-old boy, Zaid, when that vicious camera woman from a TV crew. What? She was. Well, she was. She took it upon herself to trip this refugee who was fleeing for his life. She tripped him in an open field, and his son was crying. It was just an awful scene. There was global outrage when everyone saw this because the woman, she wasn't doing her job. She was trying to help police, and she tripped the father and son. Well, they didn't end up in Germany because of what happened, because everyone knew their story. They ended up in Spain, and they are going to be able to seek asylum in Spain. Why? Because the dad is a very well-known soccer coach from Syria. So here's the dad when they asked him about his new life and how happy he is going to Spain.
How did you feel when she did that?
I'm very, very angry because my child is cry 2 hours.
Yeah.
Actually, that was his reaction after he got tripped.
Nobody likes to be tripped. Got it.
No one does. But it's
Okay.
they rose up from the strip. They were treated like celebrities now because that image
tripped.
was shown across. Yes, because that image was shown across the globe.
Mhm.
And Zaid, the little 7-year-old Dan,
Yeah.
you're going to like this kid. I think you're going to embrace him because this is what he said when asked what
Not if
he
he
would
likes
do.
soccer.
Yeah, he loves soccer. Everybody likes soccer. Eventually, you'll fall
everybody.
for it. But this is what Zaid said when asked about that nasty camera woman.
Zaid tells me, with a smile, if I ever see that woman again, I want to fight her.
That is misogynistic. That is an assault.
A little violent.
He's going to be targeted by Hillary Clinton.
It was a little violent, but he did. He was sitting down on the stoop, and he's like, I will ram her with my fist if I ever see her again. Well, Zaid was able to go with Ronaldo. Do you know who Ronaldo is?
Yeah, he's a soccer player.
From Real Madrid, the team in Madrid. And he took him onto the soccer field before they played Granada last weekend. And so everybody knows who this family is. And the dad's happy that he's got a new life now in Spain.
We were there when he learned the entire family, including his wife and children still in Turkey, can apply for asylum in Spain.
Thank you. Very, very, very nice people here. Very nice, very nice. I cannot... that is the truth.
America been very, very good to me.
A great answer to a nasty fall.
Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
When you look in the mirror, you should feel happy. When you smile, you should feel confident. If everyday moments like chewing, drinking, talking, or just smiling for a photo make you feel uncomfortable or embarrassed because of your teeth, it's time to think about permanent dental implants. It's much easier and affordable than you may think. And Dr. Joel Akrush and his team at Artistic Dentistry want to show you how customized dental implants can give you freedom and confidence back into your life. Call 708-301-6060 now for a no-cost, no-obligation consultation that includes free 3D digital scans. Artistic Dentistry uses a state-of-the-art CBCT scan, which allows Dr. Akrush to customize your smile with precision planning, allowing for immediate use and quick healing. Are you ready to have your natural-looking, beautiful smile back? Then call Artistic Dentistry now at 708-301-6060 or log on to donewithdentures.com. That's donewithdentures.com. Artistic Dentistry, serving the south and southwest suburbs for more than 23 years.
So often on this show, we talk about the important issues that affect your world, things like the economy, education, foreign policy. And on the show, because there's always so much going on, we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. It's one of the reasons I'm involved with the new website, along with the Illinois Opportunity Project called Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com. At Upstream Ideas, you'll find info that will inform some of the policy discussions we're having here on this show and elsewhere. At Upstream Ideas, we broaden the parameters of debate and move beyond the same old partisan assumptions. We challenge accepted orthodoxies and debunk some of the faulty premises that inform the rules on which our free society is based. In other words, we're pushing against the current and thinking upstream. We'll ask, why are conditions the way they are, and how can those conditions be improved? So go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You can see video highlights from this past Sunday's edition of Illinois Rising. And with each visit to Upstream Ideas, you'll be armed with new info and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the good old USA a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized.
AST for Industry. This is John Haidt. My company is Anti-Seize Technology. We are the company behind hundreds of products used by industry and manufacturing worldwide. For over 35 years, my local company has made lubricants, adhesives, and sealants. I put my products up against any other company for quality and value. That's why we say AST for Industry.
Your maintenance crew can save time, money, and your equipment. Slick-On Flow Lube is a superior spray-on industrial lubrication for your sliding, rolling, squeaky, turning, press-fitting needs. Slick-On Flow Lube keeps your equipment in service and reduces costly breakdowns. Slick-On Flow Lube is a great product for your maintenance team from Anti-Seize Technology.
We will prove products from Anti-Seize Technology are better for your industry. Contact us for a demonstration. Go to AST4Industry.com. Remember, AST4Industry.com. Check out our line of lubricants, adhesives, and sealants for your company. AST4Industry.com.
Coming up on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Pam Geller from president of the American Freedom of Defense Initiative. She'll answer the question, can or should a Muslim ever be considered for presidency of the United States?
And also Detective Chris Cavalli, the Lake County Crimes Task Force, will give us the latest breaking information about the search for Lieutenant G.I. Joe's killer. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Amy and Dan, here are the stories we're watching right now. The mayor set to unveil a proposed budget with a massive property tax hike. United to remove those moving walkways at Chicago's O'Hare Airport. Rizzo and Soler sparked the Cubs to a 9-5 win over the Brewers with a magic number of 4. Mostly sunny and pleasant today. WIND Chicago News Time is 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The Kentucky County Clerk, who was jailed for blocking gay marriages, could be in trouble again for her attempt at a compromise. Fox News Radio's Jeff Manasso has more live.
Rowan County Clerk Kim Davis spent several days in jail for refusing to issue marriage licenses to gay couples, citing her religious beliefs and telling Fox News Radio's Todd Starnes that all she wants is
to have my name and authority in my county removed off of them, whereas I would not be a party to that.
But now Davis may end up back in court after gay and straight couples who filed suit question whether their license is issued under the authority of the federal court without Davis's signature are even valid. Dave.
Jeff, he's celebrating a final Mass in Cuba. Pope Francis calling on people there to rediscover their Catholic heritage. This afternoon, he'll come to America, and President Obama will be there to greet him. Fox News Radio's John Decker live at the White House.
Later this afternoon, the President and First Lady will greet Pope Francis at Joint Base Andrews in Maryland as he arrives from his trip to Cuba. After a formal welcoming ceremony on the South Lawn tomorrow, the President and Pope Francis are scheduled to hold a meeting in the Oval Office to discuss topics ranging from climate change to human rights across the world. While in Washington, the Pope will also celebrate Mass at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception and speak to a joint meeting of Congress. Dave?
John, abortion's an issue again today at the Senate.
It's deeply disappointing that the laws don't protect those most innocent lives among us.
Tom Cotton and Republicans want to pass a House-approved bill prohibiting most abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. Democrats, though, have enough votes to block it. Scott Walker's no longer running for president, disappointed in the Republican race.
It has drifted into personal attacks.
And Wisconsin's governor wants other low-polling candidates to drop out, too, so another conservative can rise up and beat Donald Trump, who says,
"Well, I feel badly for him. He's a nice guy. I got to know him a little bit."
Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Sunshine, 59 degrees, winds out of the south at 4. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott with a check of AM 560 news headlines this morning as Mayor Emanuel's bad news budget is being unveiled. It will hit homeowners hard with a series of small tax hikes instead of just one big one, as AM 560's David Stewart reports.
Mayor Emanuel's got no help from Springfield so far in easing the impact of the $534 million property tax hike for city pensions, so the administration will now phase it in over 4 years, with the biggest boost, $318 million this year, and lesser amounts in each of the next 3 years. On top of that, the mayor's pushing for a new property tax, $45 million worth for school construction. Also in the budget, a $9.50 a month fee for residential collection of garbage, higher fees for cab or ride-sharing trips, higher taxi rates, and a new tax on e-cigarette cartridges and liquids. David Stewart, Chicago.
The FBI says the head of its New Orleans office has been named special agent in charge of the Chicago division. Michael Anderson will report to Chicago in mid-October. United Airlines has decided to remove all 8 of its moving walkways at O'Hare. United spokesman Luke Punzenberger telling the Tribune the walkways, in his words, inhibit passenger flow. You may recall those walkways are in the airport's Terminal 1 Concourse C. Half have already been closed already. The other 8 will be removed by spring. That moving walkway that connects Concourse C with Concourse B via that long underground pedestrian tunnel, that one will remain. Chicago sports, White Sox take a pair from the Tigers, 2-0 and 3-2. The magic number is 4 for the Cubs as they beat Milwaukee 9-5. Monday Night Football, Jets over the Colts. The news, a service of Unbound. Poverty doesn't discriminate. It feeds on the forgotten. At Unbound, they believe in the collective wisdom of society's oldest and most vulnerable, providing sponsorship for the elderly. Just one way Unbound is different at unbound.org. 8:04, it's time for the AM 560 Business Beat. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Carmen Roberts.
From the Fox Business Network, hold on to your seats. It may be another wild day on Wall Street. Futures deep in the red, pointing to sharply lower opens in Europe. Markets slide more than 2%. Investors are worried about the global economy. Call it the Lance Armstrong moment of the auto industry. Volkswagen admits to falsifying emission tests, now saying up to 11 million cars are affected worldwide.
Our company was dishonest with the EPA and the California Air Resources Board, and with all of you. And in my German words, we have totally screwed up.
Volkswagen U.S. President Michael Horn, VW shares fall off the cliff, wiping out about $17 billion in market value. And if you're looking to rent a home, it will cost you more than a year ago, but the pace of increases has slowed, according to Zillow. Big city residents pay the most. The median rent in New York City just shy of $2,700 a month. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Carmen Roberts.
Here in Chicago, it's 8:05. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity explains how Trump has earned the right to be the front runner.
Donald Trump, whether you like him or not, has earned his status, his front runner status, fair and square. He didn't steal it. He hasn't lied. If anything, he's been refreshingly honest. Now, Trump may not be a conservative the way I'm a conservative, but certainly his supporters are.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
What do Fortune 500 companies do when they need to find new workspace? They call Regis at 1-800-OFFICES. With Regis, you can easily expand today and get your people up and running tomorrow. With fully furnished tech-powered co-working spaces, offices, and admin support, Regis manages the details so you can focus on your business. Short-term, long-term, all on your terms. Regis makes it easy and affordable. Call Regis now at 1-800-OFFICES and get a free office or meeting room for a day. Regis, here to help you grow.
Are you ready to take your diabetes management to the next level? Put the Contour Next meter to the test and challenge your meter. The Contour Next meter makes testing easy and highly accurate with close to lab level results. And J.D. Power ranked Bayer's portfolio of meters highest in customer satisfaction with blood glucose meters. So take the challenge. Go to ContourNextChallenge.com, get a free meter, and enter to win free test strips. Find Contour Next at your local Good Neighbor Pharmacy.
It is 8:06. Let's get an update on your morning ride to work in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's our Jim Telemonte.
Thanks, Mike. 8094 westbound, very slow from I-65 to Burr with a crash in the 2 right lanes. The Edens runs 30 minutes like Cook to Montrose outbound 40. The Kennedy, an hour and 5 minutes. O'Hare to downtown outbound 55 minutes. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes from Thorndale to the post office, outbound 57 minutes. Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 41 minutes. Ryan, 35 minutes, 95th to downtown, Lakeshore Drive. Southbound, it's jammed. Bryn Mawr to Fullerton, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Northbound Tri-State, very slow. Harlem to 31st, Roosevelt to North Avenue. Adams Tollway delays 31 to Roselle Road and Elmhurst Road at the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway really slow from Orchard to 59 to 53 to 355. The Veterans Memorial, I-55 to the Reagan Tollway. The Army Trail toll to 290. Southbound 53 really slow, Dundee to Kershaw. Traffic answers when you need them most. Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solutions provider. Here's meteorologist Jeremy Pearson.
Mostly sunny and beautiful throughout today. High 77, mainly clear skies tonight, low 57. Mostly sunny and pleasant tomorrow, high 77. Thursday will be sunny to partly cloudy and pleasantly warm. High 76. I'm Jeremy Pearson, AM 560. The Answer.
54 at O'Hare, 58 along the lake, 48 this morning in Aurora. Your next news update, 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the New American Funding Show, walking you through stress-free mortgage options. Sunday afternoons at 1 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Tuesday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
With this in mind, I will suspend my campaign immediately. I encourage other Republican presidential candidates to consider doing the same.
He peaked early, and it's not just a process event. When he peaked early, he was way out ahead from that one great speech he made in Iowa. He then played safe.
While so-called establishment candidates like Walker have watched their poll numbers slide, outsiders like Donald Trump, Ben Carson, and now Carly Fiorina continue to surge ahead, but also putting them under sharper scrutiny.
I wouldn't advocate for, I hate to say this, I wouldn't advocate for Hillary Clinton to be president. Does that make me anti-woman?
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. So, Tiny Dancers propose a $550 million property tax hike.
I own that.
We have Illinois ranked by Kiplinger, ranked by Truth in Accounting as in the bottom 2 or 3 in terms of taxpayer-friendly states, bottom 2 or 3 in the nation. We have the lowest credit rating and the highest unfunded pension liability in the nation. People want to understand why and how bad is it going to get, what should they do. So you're going to get this information because we pay attention like no one else does, only here. And I want to point to this portal, this pension portal that the Illinois State Department of Insurance has created, which lists police and fire pensions at the municipal level from Addison to Zion. So wherever you live, you can go. Now, it's not the most user-friendly setup I've ever seen in terms of sorting and whatnot, but you can go to the community in which you live, wherever you are, and see your pension and fire, your police and fire pension funds, where the money is being invested. And this is really interesting, too, because, of course, these are all the money being invested. It's being invested by those big banks that the left and public sector unions hate, and into blue chip corporate America that the left and public sector unions allegedly hate. It's very interesting, the hypocrisy. But that notwithstanding for a moment, you also can see every member of your police and fire department, what their salary is and what their accumulated contributions to their pension are at this juncture. It is very instructive. We talked about this a while back just to illustrate how out of whack these systems are. And this is, again, the caveat that we always have to issue. It's not because anybody doesn't like or respect police officers or firefighters or public sector workers more generally. It's simple, and it's not that I blame anybody for playing by the rules of the game that were set up by the politicians. I blame the politicians.
What they're doing is not illegal.
It's not illegal. Right. It's absolutely not illegal, and they're trying to maximize their earnings, and that's what I would do if I were in their position. No, I'm blaming those who set up the rules of the game more than I am anybody that is abiding the rules of the game. Okay, so that's not what that said. Here's the illustration I use to try and make this more real, to show you just kind of how impossible this is to finance, how wrong it is, frankly, how morally wrong it is. Pat Quinn, he was our governor for a time.
Yeah, I remember that guy. I see him at the gym sometimes.
Yeah.
He's still working out, just in case you're wondering.
Nothing but free time.
Yeah.
Well, I know why he wants to work out. He wants to stay in good shape because Pat Quinn, during his 20 years of illustrious service in state government in various capacities, including governor, he contributed about $200,000 into his pension fund, to his pension, I should say, to his pension. It's not like his fund, to his pension. If he lives to average male life expectancy for a man his age, and if he's working out, he probably will, and I hope he does. He will be paid out $3.5 million.
Oh my God.
$200,000 in, $3.5 million out. Who wants to sign up for that ROI?
Where can we sign up? Can we sign up now? Yeah,
everybody. This is what we're talking about. That is why the system is unsustainable. Quinn may be an outlier in terms of the size of his pension, but the dynamic is the same. And all you need to do is go to your community that's listed to this Illinois Department of Insurance pension portal, insurance2.illinois.gov, and look. I'm looking in my hometown, and I'm not going to name names because I'm not here to vilify anybody. I'm here to vilify the system. These are police officers in Wheaton. Let's see. 21 years of service, accumulated contributions, $135,000. Current salary, $93,000. And you know what happens. You're going to get 80% of the formulaic 80% of your highest salary or higher salary of 3 of the last 10 years. I'm so hard to keep up with the calculation, the formulaic reforms, but that's functionally it. Keep going here. 12 years of service, another Wheaton police officer. Accumulated contributions, $91,000. Current salary, $91,000. 19 years of service. Accumulated contributions, $152,000. Current salary, $122,000. You're talking about, and this repeats itself almost, you're talking about people who are going to be paid out what they contributed within a couple of years of retirement. And then they're going to make a multiple that is unfathomable and inaccessible to middle-income families in Illinois. The median household income in the state is about a little over 50 grand. It's called 53 grand, 55 grand, round, make it easy. 55 grand. Do you know how long it takes? If you have a pension of 50 grand a year, that's effectively about a $1.5 million pension. Do you know how long it takes for someone who is making a household where you're making $55,000 a year to save $1.5 million so you can pay yourself $50,000 a year for 20 or 25 years in retirement? You know how long that takes?
How long?
Infinity. You cannot do it. It is impossible. It's impossible. But this is happening routinely at multiples of those numbers I just described, those middle-income numbers, in police and fire departments, with state workers and teachers and superintendents throughout Illinois. And if you want to talk about the fiscal condition of this state and addressing it in any serious material way, you have got to look at the cost drivers, and it's the way these pension systems are set up currently.
Right, but all my firefighter and copper friends out there, they tell me they're not, they're doing it because they love what they do, but also they're not in it for the current salary. They're all in it for the pensions.
Of course they are. Why
Even
wouldn't
when
you
they
be?
joined, when they were 18 years old, and now they've made captain or lieutenant.
And they're going to retire at 50, and then they can go do something else.
Yeah, but it's not going to be there when that's what they're worried about.
Well, they should be worried. They should be worried. And we as taxpayers, look at the taxes we have now. Least friendly tax state in the nation. And that's before we really have to do what is necessary to finance these guaranteed unfunded obligations, or to make the necessary cuts to finance these guaranteed unfunded obligations. It's not vilifying anybody. It's a system that is unfinanceable. It doesn't work. Go look at this portal and look at your community and make your own decision.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Coming up next, new test results are in and theories abound in the Lieutenant Glinowitz death. We'll speak with the public information officer to get the latest. But first, here's your forecast. Plenty of sunshine today, a high of 77 degrees. And tomorrow and Thursday and Friday, picture perfect days, mostly sunny skies, highs in the mid to upper 70s. Let's get the travel times. Is the inbound Kennedy still sticky? Here's Jim Telemonte.
It is. So are a lot of the roads, Amy. The Kennedy runs an hour and 10 minutes from O'Hare to downtown, with the delays starting at Cumberland. A little quicker in the Express. Outbound 55 minutes downtown to the airport. The Edens, 30 minutes like Cook to Montrose. Outbound 40. The Eisenhower, an hour and 25 minutes from Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 57 minutes. The Stevenson, an hour and 10 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 41 minutes. Ryan is 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, really jammed. Bryn Mawr to Fullerton, northbound from the Stevenson to Jackson. Tollways are very heavy in westbound 80-94. It is a mess from I-65 to Burr. That's due to a crash which has 2 right lanes blocked. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Don't get stuck paying 2 mortgages or living with the frustration of a for sale sign in your yard forever. The answer is simple. Just call Saul Z and the Z team. Saul Z guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to. If 29 days pass without a sale, Saul will buy it. And working with Saul won't obligate you to anything because if you aren't happy, Saul lets you out of the contract. He can because Saul spends many more times than the average realtor on marketing. For example, Ossie listed his Wicker Park Bucktown home for 140 days with another realtor. Then Saul Z sold Ossie's home in only 11 days at $41,000 over the listing price. Talk about a difference in results, and that's why the Wall Street Journal ranks Saul among the top 250 agents in the country. I know I'll be calling Saul when I'm ready to sell or buy a new home. So go to callsaul.net, that's Saul, S-A-U-L.net, to find out what your home's worth, or call Saul directly at 888-346-0666. That's 888-346-0666, and start packing.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
I really started it from an advertisement, more for my husband than for me, but I decided we should both take it, and I had gout in both my knees, and it's gone.
Well, that's a wonderful success story.
I know.
He had eczema on his hand, and it cracked for years. He did anything from doctor, every cream, everything. And 3 months on the veggies and fruit, it was gone.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
If the battery pack in your hybrid fails, that can be a huge unexpected expense. Dan Proft here for Midwest Performance Cars. In addition to complete maintenance and repair of European automobiles, Midwest Performance Cars is a certified hybrid shop location. Their technicians have undergone extensive training and can test and recondition your Toyota or Honda hybrid battery pack at a price hundreds less than your dealer. MPC can also perform a comprehensive pre-purchase inspection on hybrid vehicles and provide an accurate assessment of the health of your hybrid battery pack. The longevity of battery packs is a known drawback of a hybrid vehicle. Midwest Performance Cars offers an exclusive technology that can restore your battery to over 95% of its original performance. Take your hybrid to the dealership with a check engine light and they'll probably tell you that you need a new battery, costing you $3,000 to $5,000. With MPC's battery conditioning technology, you could potentially save up to 50%, keeping thousands of dollars in your pocket. They're located in Chicago's West Loop at the corner of Lake and Ogden. Free Lyft and Uber shuttle service available. Online at MidwestPerformanceCars.com. Midwest Performance Cars, the dealer alternative, an expert source for European auto maintenance and repair.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. We are now pleased to be joined by Detective Chris Covelli with the Lake County Major Crimes Task Force with an update on the investigation into the Lieutenant Glinowitz, G.I. Joe, death investigation.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
They've received results on 2 key issues, and we're going to find out the latest from the detective.
Detective Covelli, thanks so much for joining us.
You're welcome.
So give us the state of the investigation and address the 2 key findings that Amy was referencing.
Well, like I had mentioned in the past, this is an extremely complex investigation, and task force investigators continue to aggressively work the case, and I would say this case is just as active, if not more active, than in the beginning phases. Based on all the information that we have, all the facts and evidence, it's being investigated as a homicide. Now, this includes the facts and evidence we've been able to discuss in public with the media and with members of the Fox Lake community, and as well as those that we have to hold close to the investigation and keep confidential. As we all know, Lieutenant Glinowitz's radio transmission on September 1st was that he was out with 3 suspicious subjects that he described as 2 male whites and 1 male black. He made a radio transmission that they were headed towards the swamp in the area where he was located. And that was the last transmission that anybody heard from him. When his backup units arrived on the scene, they found him mortally wounded and he had been shot. couple things that we released, is the unknown source DNA. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. Additionally, there's a canine. There were numerous canines called in the day of. One of the canine tracks that started at the scene in the area where the lieutenant was located positively tracked away from the scene, indicated he was tracking on one or more subjects.
So are you ruling out the possibility that this might be a suicide, as the Lake County coroner had suggested?
All theories are on the table. Nothing's been eliminated, and quite frankly, it wouldn't be prudent or responsible of us to eliminate anything until a thorough, complete investigation is conducted.
All right, well, you had the gun residue test that came back in the ballistics test. What did it show? Did the officer fire his own weapon?
So we do have those reports, and that information is contained within the ballistic report. At this time, I'm not going to release the specifics of what the reports say. I mean, what I can tell you about the gunshot residue test and the ballistics are that they don't support or exclude any one specific theory. So we have to look at everything still. Everything is still on the table, and we're at approximately 300 leads at this point, and those leads have come from the public. They've come from evidence at the crime scene, and they've come from information that investigators have uncovered. And I'll tell you, each and every one of those leads is very thoroughly followed up on, and the investigators will go whichever direction that lead takes them. They're not wearing blinders, and they're not conducting a one-track investigation.
We're talking to Detective Chris Covelli, Lake County Major Crimes Task Force, about the G.I. Joe death investigation. And I don't want to get into parsing words, but it was called a homicide investigation initially. Then the commander of the task force called it a death investigation. Now you're saying it's a homicide investigation again.
Well, I would say, and the technical term, anytime we're investigating a death, it's called a death investigation, no matter what the manner of death is. I mean, that's technically what we're investigating. Based on the information we have at this point, and like I said, the facts and the evidence at the scene and leads investigators have followed up on, it's being investigated as a homicide. However, all theories are on the table. We're not ruling any one theory out at this point. We don't have the evidence or information to do that. Okay. So it's still very active. Say these investigators are working around the clock, very diligently, following up on leads and uncovering new leads.
Are you guys on the same page with the coroner's office, or is the coroner's office on the same page with you now? Because there was a little bit of tension between the two offices.
Absolutely. In fact, we had a meeting yesterday morning, which included Lake County Coroner Dr. Rudd. Coroner's office staff was there. Task force members were there. Crime lab personnel was there. I would say it was a very good meeting. We're all on the same page. We have been on the same page, but we're unified in this investigation moving forward, and in any future investigations. It's going to be a good working relationship.
So, what areas were tested on Lieutenant Glinowicz's body?
What I can say to that is, anytime gunshot residue tests are completed, it will test hands, arms, clothing, and potentially area around the scene as well.
And is there any person of interest or persons of interest that have been identified at this point?
Not specific persons of interest. We're still looking at the original radio transmission as two male whites and one male black, and that's how we're proceeding.
But I listened to that last transmission repeatedly, and at first he didn't want backup, and then she said, "Well, I'm rolling backup," and he said, "Okay." Is that normal? Because every cop that I know, every detective, sergeant, lieutenant, said they would never put themselves in a three-on-one situation.
I can't speculate or speak to what was his frame of mind at that time.
Well, and then also too, real quickly, the relationship between Lieutenant Glinowicz and the former Fox Lake police chief. Is there any correlation or any relationship between what was happening to him at the time and the death of the lieutenant?
No, none that we see at this point.
Has the former police chief been cooperative with you?
Part of the investigation and part of the victimology is speaking to anybody that had contact with the lieutenant. So we haven't had any issues in that aspect.
All right, Detective Chris Covelli, Lake County Major Crimes Task Force, talking to us about the G.I. Joe death investigation. Thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Okay, thank you.
And we were talking, about the possibility that this might be a suicide because when you look at the autopsy report, it's not filled out because it says homicide, suicide, or accidental death. But his son came forward and spoke with the Daily Herald to talk about that and just, reminded everyone that he's had a wonderful relationship with his father and that he believes his father would never do anything to harm himself and to commit suicide.
I know my father. My family knows my father, and his closest friends knew him as well. He was not someone who ever contemplated suicide. He never had suicidal tendencies or anything like that.
And in fact, he said his dad was planning on retiring and was applying to be a police chief in police departments around the area.
So still a lot more questions than answers.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
If you're ready to drop your phone plan due to dropped connections, now is the time. It's the grand opening of Wireless Zone in Westmont from 5 to 8 p.m. on Thursday the 24th. Make the switch and keep your current numbers for your cell and home phone. Plus, get a $300 activation credit. The Westmont mayor will be on site, along with reps from your favorite product lines. A raffle, refreshments, and prizes lead the grand opening of Wireless Zone, 131 West Ogden in Westmont at 5 p.m. on Thursday the 24th. 630-541-3461.
Upstream ideas. Upstream ideas. Upstream-ideas.com because, Amy, often on this show we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, foreign policy, death investigations. And on this show, because there's always so much going on, we don't always have time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. It's one of the reasons I'm involved with a new website along with the Illinois Opportunity Project called Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com. At Upstream Ideas, you'll find info that will inform the policy discussions we're having here on this show and elsewhere. At Upstream Ideas, we broaden the parameters of debate and move beyond the same old partisan assumptions, challenge accepted orthodoxies, and we debunk some of the faulty premises that inform the rules on which our free society is based. In other words, we're pushing against the current, as Pope John Paul II admonished us to do, and thinking upstream. We'll ask, why are conditions the way they are, and how can those conditions be improved? Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. With each visit, you'll be armed with new info and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the good USA a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up next, my girlfriend's going to be here, Pamela Geller.
Yeah, could a Muslim American ever become president of the United States?
And
Ben
then
Carson has answered. We'll get Pam Geller's answer.
David Cameron, a drinking club like none other, will explain coming up. But first, let's go back into the newsroom. Here is Mike Scott.
Sunny and 60 degrees. We're following a developing story in Germany this morning where Berlin police say right now there's no evidence of planned attacks in Germany following raids on 8 buildings after a months-long investigation into a group of suspected Islamic extremists. Police say the raids included a search at a mosque office. The central suspects include a 51-year-old Moroccan man accused of encouraging other German Syrians and other Islamists to fight. At least 15 Afghan troops have been killed in northern Afghanistan today, including 10 in an insider attack at a checkpoint. Scott Walker says he is throwing in the towel.
I believe that I'm being called to lead by helping to clear the field in this race so that a positive conservative message can rise to the top of the field.
And Walker, as he leaves the presidential campaign, is urging some of his former GOP presidential rivals to consider doing the same. Meantime, Senator Ted Cruz is all jokes with Stephen Colbert.
Were you surprised how crowded the field got?
There are another dozen coming.
Really? All right.
Now, in fact, Stephen, are you going to announce tonight?
You know what? I actually ran.
The GOP presidential candidate appeared on Monday's Late Show. A leading economic agency says the record number of migrant arrivals in Europe is an emergency situation. Meetings there continue today to try and deal with integrating and training immigrants instead of them being an economic drain on the countries that are receiving them. The Valley Fire, officially one of the worst fires in California history, has cost that state about $250 million. Pope Francis coming to the U.S. today as the president and vice president and their wives will greet the Pope at Joint Base Andrews. Mayor Emanuel's bad news budget will be unveiled today, and how hard it will hit homeowners is still to be seen. A phased-in $543 million property tax is on top of the tables. The strike over at Rock Valley College, school officials announcing last night the union voted there to accept a new 5-year agreement. That ends a 4-day work stoppage. It is day 5 of the work stoppage in Prospect Heights District 23. Teachers there and the board have another negotiating session scheduled for tonight. White Sox take a pair from the Tigers. Cubs, with a magic number of 4, beat Milwaukee 9-5. The news service of Stand Up to Cancer and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher exposes another double standard.
Any way you slice it, there is a real lack of accountability here with the Black Lives Matter movement. There are people who should be held accountable for the deaths of police officers. If somebody as heinous as a cop killer was an activist with the Tea Party movement, you think that might get some attention from the news media?
The Mike Gallagher Show. Weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
The sounds of an accident. You or a loved one has been injured. Your mind is racing. What happened? Is everyone okay? What now?
I'm Dan Compton of Compton Law Group. We know that at a time like this, you want answers. More importantly, you want justice for what has taken place. If you or a loved one has been injured, please, before you sign something or talk to anyone, call Compton Law Group. This is our specialty, fighting for your rights, fighting for you, and making sure that justice is served. You can reach me at 847-742-6100. That's 847-742-6100. It's my job to make sure that you, your family, and your loved ones are protected and compensated properly. We handle nursing home accidents, car, truck, and motorcycle accidents, construction accidents, and medical malpractice.
When accidents happen, and they will happen, make sure you have Compton Law Group on your side. 847-742-6100 or online at ComptonLawGroup.net. When accidents happen, take the appropriate action with Compton Law Group, located in Elgin and serving all of Chicagoland.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
I will tell you one thing, and he's sick all winter. He wasn't sick at all this winter, not one time.
I've taken vitamins my whole life, and this is really the only thing that I've ever really felt like that did anything.
That's why I kept coming down with the flu. And she said double them, triple them. And that's what I did since then, and I haven't had the flu. Because I know it worked.
When you can give your body a full variety of 31 different fruits and vegetables in their 100% natural, whole food form, you receive the unmatched balance of nutrition. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
8:36 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Let's get the latest with our Jim Talamonte.
At Eden's 30 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 40. The Kennedy, an hour and 10 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. 35 minutes from Montrose, 25 in the Express. Outbound 45 minutes to the airport, the Eisenhower. An hour and 35 minutes, Thorndale to the post office. An hour 20 from Manheim. Outbound 57 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, it's an hour. Crash at First Avenue in the left lane. Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State. Stop and go Southwest Highway to 31st and Roosevelt to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway, slow 25 to Roselle Road and Elmhurst Road at the Kennedy. Reagan Tollway, stop and go Randall to Eola Veterans Memorial. From I-55 to the Reagan Tollway and from the Army Trail Toll to 290. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. Air Comfort, your commercial HVAC solution provider. Sunny and beautiful today. High 77, clear and 57 overnight. 54 at O'Hare, 58 along the lake, 49 in Aurora. And your next news update is at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Heroes Talk Radio. Learn the secrets to planning a tax-free retirement income by listening to Heroes Talk Radio Saturday afternoons at 5.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan Proft, Amy Jacobson. So Ben Carson has created a bit of a stir, as did Donald Trump, by not responding how the media would have wanted him to respond to that inquiry during his town hall. And so the issue of Islam and Muslim Americans has reared again in the context of the presidential race. And we're now joined by Pam Geller, who's the founder, editor, and publisher of AtlasShrugs.com, and she is the president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative. You, of course, know Pam Geller from some what turned out to be controversial events like the Prophet Muhammad cartoon drawing contest. Pam, thanks again for joining us. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
So
I hope you mean that the event, the free speech event, was controversial because two jihadists opened fire and tried to slaughter Americans on American soil. That's why it was controversial.
Well, that is what I mean. And so what did you make of Ben Carson's statement about the prospect of, the hypothetical of a Muslim American president of the United States?
Well, it's interesting how why does one Republican candidate's quote-unquote scandal, for example, get hung around the neck of every other person's? I mean, I have yet to see Bernie Sanders or Lincoln Chafee or Joe Biden asked about Hillary Clinton's server and how she handled Benghazi. I mean, clearly it's a gotcha question, and it's set up to destroy candidates. This is what the media is doing, and the GOP candidates have to get a little more savvy about this.
Well, I agree with that.
It's very important because what they're doing is they are reinforcing the prohibition on this subject matter. The media will not have you violate the Sharia. If you criticize Islam, you're going to pay, and you're going to pay dearly. Now, what do I think about what he said? Well, Ben Carson is right in that the Sharia is not compatible with the Constitution. It's not. So if you have a Muslim who's Sharia compliant, he is unfit for office. You have to understand the United States of America, the Constitution, is founded on individual rights, equality for all before the law. This does not exist in Muslim countries under the Sharia. There are no individual rights. There is no, there is no unique soul under Islam for that matter. And there is no equality for all before the law. Muslims and non-Muslims are not equal under the Sharia. They're not equal.
Pamela,
so he has a point.
He does have a point. But this morning he's saying, I didn't mean to say Muslim. I meant to say radical Muslims.
All right, so yeah, exactly. I mean, like I said, they need to finesse it better. Okay, it was clumsy. Although when he spoke about a congressman serving in Congress, he said it depends on who the Muslim is. That's really what the answer is. And so, if he didn't say it perfectly, because the Democrats are so perfect and they say everything so perfectly that it's ridiculous. You're holding them up to an impossible standard. If you misunderstood his remarks, he clarified them next.
And so you make distinctions between peaceful pluralist Muslim Americans and those that are jihadists.
Of course.
Right.
I mean, I don't know why we always have to talk about peaceful Muslims when we're talking about jihadists. It's like talking about peaceful Buddhists or peaceful Sikhs. I mean, I don't have to pat on the back every Muslim that doesn't want to kill me. I expect that. That's my bar. I mean, it's a low expectation of soft bigotry. It's ridiculous. It's a way of shutting down the conversation. There is a problem with jihad. We're arresting people every day. 2 days ago here, ISIS in New York. You have the 6 or 7 Minnesota Muslims who wanted to join ISIS. You have a couple weeks ago the bomb that was planted on a Key West beach to explode during the height of beach traffic filled with shrapnel. I mean, there's a problem in Chattanooga. There's a problem in Garland. There's a problem with young American Muslims flocking to Syria to fight alongside the Islamic State. Why are we not allowed to talk about this?
Well, and also, too, with the Pope's 5-day visit here, online, there's a call by ISIS for, lone wolves to come forward and try and create upheaval and kill people in the crowd trying to see the Pope and possibly the Pope himself.
That's right. And as you know, just last week, a Philly Muslim teen was arrested for a plot to assassinate the Pope. We're living in some kind of strange Orwellian universe. Rod Serling couldn't write this into one of his skits for the Twilight Zone. It's outrageous. They're trying to shut down this conversation. I applaud Ben Carson for not apologizing, for not backing down. We're in the state that we're in because you can avoid reality, but you cannot avoid the consequences of avoiding reality.
And then thus your assessment and reaction to the announcement this week of increasing the cap on refugees in the coming couple of years.
It's a disaster. I mean, back in February, I reported that ISIS vowed to send 500,000 of their operatives in a migration to Europe to be used as a weapon. They have told us, Obama's junior varsity team now has told us that they're going to send jihadists to Europe. And, according to the authorities, 20,000 ISIS operatives have been sent to Europe. We won't even, Obama has scrubbed counterterrorism programs of any reference to jihad and Islam. You tell me how he's going to vet these people. And why are we doing this? To assist, to alleviate Europe? Why? Do they take, Mexicans or Latin American or Central Americans? It's ridiculous. He sides with the jihad force every time, whether it's in Libya, in ousting, no Prince, I agree, Gaddafi, to what? To jihad forces. He outsourced our security at the consulate to an al-Qaeda group. How do you think they had inside information as to where Ambassador Christopher Stevens' safe house was?
So is it fair to say you think Obama's a Muslim sympathizer?
He's Islamophilic. He sided with the Muslim Brotherhood in Egypt against a real reformer. President Sisi in Egypt is a real reformer in the Muslim world, and he punished the Egyptian people. Obama punished the Egyptian people when they threw off the yoke of Islamic tyranny. He withdrew aid because they threw out the Muslim Brotherhood. He sided with, quote, moderate al-Qaeda in Syria and in Iraq. It's a rhetorical question. Of course he's sympathetic to the jihad cause.
And how do you explain, as this from our military, now, of course, he's the commander-in-chief, but the story in the New York Times that is so disturbing about soldiers that are deployed to Afghanistan being told to stand down and not do anything when our erstwhile Afghani allies are molesting boys.
It's worse than that. He's disciplining them. And I have to say, the father of one of the boys who was one of our soldiers who was killed by a T-boy, who was killed by one of the playthings of a commander, our ally, an Afghan commander. I have spoken with, in various events, his son was murdered in 2012. It took the New York Times 3 years to write about him, but I will tell you, I am grateful that they did and that they're bringing this to the major media outlets, because when the Times runs something, then it's official. If a tree fell in the forest and they didn't hear it, it didn't make a noise. Mm-hmm. But I think that our boys are being disciplined for it. It's just it's breathtaking that this is how far America has fallen. And he would tell it. One of the guys would tell his father, said he heard them screaming at night. We could hear them screaming, but we're not allowed to do anything about it. And the officers were told to look the other way because it's their culture. What culture is that?
Insane.
Yeah. Pamela Geller, I love the article that you wrote in Breitbart News. We agree upon something that Ahmed Muhammad brought a strange ticking device to English class. How horrified were you when you found out he was invited to the White House?
ClockMed. Why wasn't the SWAT team that took out the two jihadists that wanted to murder hundreds of Americans at a free speech event in Garland, Texas? Why wasn't he invited to the White House? I mean, look, this is part of the narrative that we're seeing. I think it's very telling that in one of the interviews that Ahmed did with the Dallas Morning News, he said that he tied the briefcase around in rope in a simple cable because he didn't want it to appear as a threat, so it wouldn't look more suspicious. So he knew going in. His exact yeah.
Well, he presented it to his teacher, though.
An English teacher.
He presented it to each teacher, and one teacher said, "Look, you better put that away because it's going to scare people." I mean, so what was he doing? Testing each teacher? His uncle has a business called Twin Towers Transportation. His father acted as defense attorney in a mock trial. He was a defense attorney for the Quran in a mock trial against Pastor Terry Jones. Clearly, this is an Islamophobia huckster of a father. He debated my colleague Robert Spencer a number of years ago. I think that this is a setup. You know,
his father, Ahmed's father, debated Robert Spencer on Islam, on radical Islam.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. Go.
Interesting.
Yeah. And you said that when he was questioned by police, he was passive aggressive. The student was Ahmed.
He wouldn't answer questions. Look, the school wasn't looking for trouble. The school erred on the side of caution. So now, if you see something and you say something, you're a racist. The idea, look, if Ahmed hadn't been a Muslim, this story would never have seen the light of day. Ahmed is not at a disadvantage because he's a Muslim. On the contrary, as a reaction from Obama and Mark Zuckerberg and Microsoft and the fawning media shows, he's privileged.
She is Pamela Geller, president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative. Pamela, thanks so much for joining us as always. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
And she joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
California weather coming to Chicago. Plenty of sunshine. We're going to have a string of gorgeous days leading up into and through the weekend. Highs in the mid to upper 70s with plenty of sunshine. Let's get the travel times and see if there's sunshine on the roadways. Here's Jim Telemonte.
Now, Southern California traffic too, Amy, sadly. The Kennedy runs an hour from O'Hare to downtown. That's actually a bit of an improvement. 35 minutes from Montrose, 27 on the Express. The Ohio Feeder's jammed thanks to construction. Outbound 40 minutes downtown to O'Hare. The Edens, 30 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 40. The Eisenhower, an hour and 35 minutes Thorndale to downtown, an hour 15 from Manheim, and outbound 57 minutes to Thorndale. Stevenson, an hour and 5 minutes, 3:55 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound an hour 15. Crash at First Avenue in the two left lanes. It's jammed from Kedzie. The Ryan, 30 minutes, 95th to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive just jammed. Bryn Mawr to Fullerton. It's 40 minutes. Hollywood to Monroe. Northbound very slow from Stevenson to Jackson. Tollways still have their delays, but they are improving. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
You know you secretly want to be a rock star, so let ChicagoRadioDeals.com put you one step closer to living out your dream with these amazing exclusive deals from Midlothian Music. You can bang on the drums all day with your own Imperial Star 5-piece drum kit. It includes cymbals, stands, and throne for only $350, a $700 value. Pick your color that best matches your personality. Create your own sound with a Casio digital piano, which feels and sounds like a real piano. This keyboard is also $350 and comes with a matching stand. Or play your favorite riff on a Taylor mahogany and spruce grand auditorium acoustic electric guitar. Phew. It's a full-size handmade instrument. It's a gorgeous guitar, which retails for about $1,000. It's half the price only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Midlothian Music, dedicated to bringing you the best selection of American-made, handcrafted instruments. Plus, you will experience the best customer service ever with every purchase. Find all these rockin' deals and much more only at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
Now, more than ever, choosing a real estate agent to sell your home is one of the most important decisions you can make.
I'm Ed Lukasik Jr., owner of RE/MAX Professionals. I know what it takes to sell your home.
The Wall Street Journal ranked Ed at 88th in the entire country for closed listings.
I know that there's no gimmick to selling your home, just a strategic marketing plan and the confidence needed to make your transaction successful.
Chicago Agent Magazine recognized Ed as the #1 rank in Will County.
You can hire anybody to list your house, but you'll need need the local market knowledge that I have to sell it.
When Ed saw market trends change, he was ready and promptly received a RE/MAX of Northern Illinois Trendsetter Award.
Sure, it takes awards, but it also takes a lot of effort. So why would you try to sell your home with a we'll sell your house or buy it from you kind of agent? If an agent has to promise to buy your listing, then something's seriously wrong.
Call Ed Lukasik Jr. of RE/MAX Professionals, 630-679-5454. That's 630-679-5454. Sell your house with the professionals, RE/MAX Professionals.
Are you ready to take your education to the next level? Arizona State University now offers over 90 top-tier degree programs, 100% online. With ASU's highly ranked online programs, you'll earn the same degree as our on-campus students, with the ability to learn wherever you want, whenever you want. Same world-renowned faculty, same leading education, same global recognition from one of the top universities in the world. Call 1-800-400-9257. That's 1-800-400-9257.
I'm Jamie from Sherman Oaks, and I just graduated with my degree from Arizona State University. I chose ASU because I received the quality education I deserve in the major I wanted, all from my home.
Jamie's not the only one to earn a degree from ASU. There are over 90 degree programs offered 100% online from one of the top universities. Now's the time to learn more about earning your degree online from Arizona State University. Call 1-800-400-9257. That's 1-800-400-9257.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Yes. Amy, I've heard of a pig in a poke before, but how about poking a pig?
Hey!
David Cameron.
This story's so gross.
This is a story dominating the very sensational British press.
Oh, it's a huge story overseas.
Yeah, David Cameron being asked the question as to whether or not he ever stuck his Big Ben into a deceased pig. Nice snort. It's perfect for the story.
Oh my gosh, this is so okay. Do go on, Dan, because have fun with this one.
Yeah, he
gotta go.
He has said no, and it seems to be that is the case. The Royalist, though, which is
what, our version of People magazine?
Side of something, has led to believe that this club that he belonged to, the Piers Gaveston Society. Boy, you think rushing a fraternity here is wild. The Piers Gaveston Society does historically bugger chickens, according to long-held rumors, after dinner at Oxford's Bullingdon Club. I just like to talk British. Are we allowed to say buggering on the air? The Piers Gaveston Society, founded in 1977, is actually a Johnny-come-lately to the world of Oxford drinking clubs. The Bullingdon Club, with photographic evidence which photographic evidence exists to prove that Cameron was a member of the Bullingdon Club, founded over 200 years ago. The club was banned by Oxford, though, from meeting on its grounds in 1894 after its members engaged in a celebrated orgy of vandalism, smashing up the quad. However, former members of the Piers Gaveston Society and guests at the annual Piers Gav Ball have also firmly denied that bestiality formed any part of their idea of a good night out. So also no to the buggering of chickens. I'm not done. The party, according to one member of the Gaveston Society, Piers Gaveston Society, was more about doing and snogging people. Are we allowed to say snogging on the air?
I don't. You might not be done, but I'm already on I-90. But okay, go on.
I'll tell you what. The British are much more of a good time than they lead on.
Squeal, squeal.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
You've been thinking about switching to solar. Don't wait much longer or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Move quickly because the tide is turning. Solar power's becoming a threat to big energy profits. In fact, some power companies are even pushing for extra fees to make up for lost revenue. Warning, you must have your solar system up and running by midnight December 31st or you'll miss out on this year's federal tax credit. Energy prices are expected to increase by as much as 40% 0% in the near future. Go solar now with no down payment, interest, or payments for a whole year. You can afford it because we finance. Get your government money and save big every month. Big Energy is getting nervous and the door of opportunity is about to slam shut. Paying $150 a month or more on energy bills? Then call 1-800-MySolar now for a free in-home assessment. 1-800-MySolar.
My home, my savings, 1-800-MySolar.
Thanks to all of our listeners who have purchased thousands of MyPillows over the last 18 months and are enjoying your best sleep ever, but that still leaves hundreds of thousands of you who haven't taken advantage of the buy one, get one free offer. What are you waiting for? It's so important to get a great night's sleep. Wake up feeling refreshed and energized, a great way to tackle your day. So don't wait any longer. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies, and more. Plus, MyPillow is washable, and it keeps its shape to give you support where you need it the most. That's why it was named the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For the MyPillow buy one, get one free offer, visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201. Please use the promo code Amy, so do it now. 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-655-8385.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. So just think how much better you'll look and feel. Think you might be bloated? Call now for a free trial of New Biotics and see how much flatter it makes your belly. You might be surprised. But hurry, call now for details while these free trials last. 1-800-655-8385. That's 1-800-655-8385. 1-800-655-8385.
David Cameron's favorite movie, Deliverance, of course.
Oh, yes, yes. Thanks, everyone, for listening. We'll be back here at 5 a.m. tomorrow. Here's Mike Scott with the latest on news from here at home and around the world.
Amy and Dan, a changing of the guard at Volkswagen. Fox with the latest on that story and developing scandal. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker is out, and WIND Chicago News Time, 9 o'clock.
News Radio, I'm Dave Anthony. They want to ban most abortions after 20 weeks of pregnancy. But Senate Republicans face a Democratic roadblock, getting the votes they need today to approve a House-passed bill amid a looming budget showdown over funding for Planned Parenthood, which could also lose money in Alabama. Fox News Radio's Evan Brown has this live.
Dave, Planned Parenthood of Alabama will tell a federal judge today the state has no right to halt Medicaid payments to the group for services provided to clients.